Chapter 673. Above the Yang City International Hotel, two figures stood proudly in the air. Just the pressure that was emitted from the two of them caused the hearts of most of the people on the ground to suddenly stop. Yi, listen to my advice. Don't be rash. Niu Qingshan stepped into the air and stood before Yi Chen. He advised, although he's invincible among the masters, my junior brother has advanced to a martial venerable decades ago. Moreover, this person is extremely good at enduring. Even though I've fought him many times, I haven't forced him to use his full strength. At this point, he lowered his voice and said, Do you know that many people down there want him dead? Even if he wins against my junior brother, it'll be a Pyrrhic victory. If someone sells him— Yi Chen interrupted him and stared at Guan Shangyue coldly. The grudge between me and Guan Shangyue can't be clearer. If you stop me again, don't blame me for turning against you. His gaze was firm. Niu Qingshan secretly sighed and returned to the ground in the end. Luo Shuiyao walked over. That guy doesn't even listen to you? That's just how he is. Niu Qingshan forced a smile. If there was anyone in China that Yi Chen would listen to, it would be his family. Prepare to attack. Luo Shuiyao lifted her eyes and looked into the sky. She said softly, Once you realize that Yi Chen is no match for Guan Shangyue, stop him. Tang Jianfeng and I will deal with Xiao Yang and the rest. Niu Qingshan immediately calmed down. All right. Ouyang Qing, who was in the crowd, looked at the figure in the sky. Her beautiful eyes flickered a few times as she secretly shook her head. What a pity! What's a pity? Du Ming, who was beside her, smirked coldly. This brat doesn't know what's good for him just because he has some strength and talent. He deserves to die. When he thought about how Yi Chen dared to reject his offer, the killing intent in his heart increased tremendously. Consider yourself lucky. Duan Feng, who was in the crowd, looked at Yi Chen in the sky. A cold gleam flashed in his eyes. I thought I would kill him. I didn't expect Guan Shangyue to benefit from it. On the other hand, Dai Tinglu, Yan Nanfei, and the other powerhouses from the Chinese cultivation world who followed Yi Chen held their breaths and stared at the two people in the sky. One of them was a powerhouse who suppressed China 50 years ago. After that battle, he had broken through to the martial venerable realm that everyone had been pursuing for their entire lives. One was a young man who had risen in the past half a year and defeated all the powerhouses in China. He had even suppressed the cultivation world of Korea and Japan by himself. He had never been defeated. No one could predict the outcome of the battle between the two of them. Of course, Dai Tinglu and the rest naturally hoped that Yi Chen would win this battle. After all, they were the witnesses of the legend. They had witnessed Yi Chen's journey and how he left them behind. Compared to their dignified expressions, however, the people of Shang Santian did not care at all. Bai Xin from the Bai family yawned and urged, Are you guys going to fight or not? If you want to fight, hurry up. I'm waiting to go back and eat. Hall Master Guan. Xiao Yang sneered and said, As long as you can kill Mad Southern Yi, I can represent the Xiao family and give you 2 pure yang pills after this. Everyone was shocked when they heard that. Even Luo Shuiyao was no exception. That was because the pure yang pill could increase a martial venerable's cultivation base. Only the core disciples of the few ancient families had the right to consume it. Moreover, ordinary people could not refine it at all. Only a grade 3 mystic master could do it. However, it was easier said than done to become a grade 3 mystic master. Even the Luo family only had one grade 3 mystic master. That was why Luo Shuiyao was so surprised. She did not expect Xiao Yang to be willing to pay 2 pure yang pills to kill Yi Chen. Don't worry, young Master Xiao. Yi will definitely die tonight. Guan Shangyue heard Xiao Yang's words as well. An unconcealable joy appeared on his grim face. He turned to look at Yi Chen. Brat, no one can save you tonight, including my useless senior brother. You're about to die, yet you still dare to be so noisy. Yi Chen scoffed coldly. lightning flashed through his eyes. A chilling killing intent that could make one's heart tremble attacked Guan Shangyue. When the last word was spoken, Yi Chen's figure suddenly shot out like an arrow. It was as if he had passed through the entire space. His speed was extremely terrifying. A golden fist energy shot across the sky and charged at Guan Shangyue. At that moment, he took the initiative to attack. Perfect timing. Guan Shanyue's eyes focused. He also felt the power of Yi Chen's punch. He scoffed as coldness surged out of his eyes. Rumble, at that moment, a majestic aura swept out from his body like a volcanic eruption, mixed with the sound of thunder. His aura was like thunder, suppressing heaven and earth. The moment Guan Shanyue's aura erupted, everyone on the ground felt an unparalleled pressure coming at them, as if a mountain had descended. Blurg, even Dai Tinglu, the #1 person in Shanghai, could not help but take 2 steps back as he spat out a mouthful of blood. Is this the terror of a martial venerable? He looked at Guan Shanyue with shock in his eyes. Since he was already like that, let alone the other powerhouses from the Chinese cultivation world who came with Yi Chen. Bang, 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 many people uncontrollably knelt on the ground. It was as if they were carrying a huge mountain on their backs. At this moment, the difference between the martial artists of the secular world and the martial artists of Shang Santian was evident. Compared to the sorry state of Dai Tinglu and the rest, although the people of Shang Santian were stunned by Guan Shanyue's aura, they were not affected at all. Huang Yu from the Huang family nodded slightly in the crowd and said, Guan Shanyue's strength is not bad. To be able to cultivate to such a level in the secular world, it's enough to prove that his talent is astonishing. I'm afraid that's not the case. Tang Jianfeng smirked coldly and took a good look at Xiaoyang. I think the reason why Guan Shanyue was able to break through to Martial Venerable was because of the Xiao family's help, right? Sensing the sarcasm in his words, Xiaoyang snorted coldly. Even if our Xiao family helped him before, that's because he has the qualifications and potential. Luo Shuiyao said without hesitation. If Mad Southern Yi had the Xiao family's resources, his achievements would definitely not be inferior to Guan Shanyue's. Him? Xiaoyang sneered. Bai Xan glanced at Luo Shuiyao and suddenly said, Luo, I realized that you're always protecting Yi. Could it be that there's some unspeakable secret between you two? Her words echoed everyone's thoughts. Luo Shuiyao stared at her coldly. Bai Xian, do you dare to say that again? Enough! Seeing that everyone was starting to argue, Lu Qing from the Lu family said, Everyone, are you guys watching the battle or quarreling? Instead of arguing, why don't we see who wins between the two of them? Only then did everyone look up into the sky. Hidden wind lightning force. Guan Shanyue shouted in the face of Yi Chen's punch. Subsequently, he threw a punch. At that moment, there was a faint flash of lightning on his fist. It exploded in the air, causing the surrounding space to seem like it could not withstand this punch. Chapter 674. This is a martial technique. And it's a high-grade martial technique. Seeing this scene, even the expressions of Luo Shuiyao and the rest on the ground froze. They said in a deep voice, Look at Guan Shanyue's fist force. There's a faint lightning glow. I'm afraid it's not inferior to a profound-grade martial technique. The so-called martial technique. It was a technique used by martial artists to fight against each other. Martial artists of the same strength could cause a difference in the damage caused by the same punch. Those who cultivated martial techniques would naturally be stronger. This was also the difference between martial artists from the secular world like Dai Tinglu and them. Although Dai Tinglu and the rest had considerable strength, they did not know how to unleash it to the extreme. Duan Feng narrowed his eyes and subconsciously looked at Xiaoyang beside him. The martial technique that Guan Shanyue used also came from the Xiao clan? The Xiao clan has never had a lightning-type martial technique. Xiao Yang's expression was terrifyingly grim. Even in the Xiao clan, the martial technique that Guan Shanyue used was of a high grade. He did not expect Guan Shanyue to hide something behind the Shao clan's back. Thinking to this point, killing intent flashed in his eyes as he looked at Guan Shanyue. It seems like this person has his own secrets against the Shao clan. While everyone was talking, Guan Shanyue, who was in the air, threw a punch and collided with Yi Chen's golden fist force. A fist force traversed the sky, dazzling with golden light. A fist force tore through space, lightning flashing. Rumble, the collision of the two fists was like a thunderclap that resounded in the silent world. The sound was like 10,000 drums beating at the same time, captivating one's soul. Bang! In an instant, terrifying energy ripples swept out in all directions with the two of them as the center. The terrifying might was like a flood, and space was compressed to the point of distortion. Fortunately, the Yang City International Hotel was located in the suburbs and not downtown. Otherwise, many buildings would have been affected. Gotcha! Amidst the deafening rumble, an incomparably clear, crisp sound reached everyone's ears, as if someone's bone had been broken. Tap, tap, tap. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Guan Shanyue's figure retreated rapidly in the air. If one took a closer look, they would realize that his right arm that he had swung earlier was hanging limply. At the same time, a trace of scarlet blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. On the other hand, Yi Chen stood where he was quietly. He allowed the storm to engulf him. His skinny body stood still as if it had taken root. At this moment, the ground was silent. Guan Shanyue was at a disadvantage the moment they exchanged blows. Xiao Yang exclaimed in disbelief, "How is this possible? He actually injured Guan Shanyue?" Bai Xian, Duan Feng, Huang Yu, and the rest were shocked. Amazing, truly amazing! Lu Qing could not help but praise repeatedly. Subsequently, he lifted his head to look at Luo Shuiyao and Tang Jianfeng beside him and said, "Yao Yao Jianfeng, if Yi Chen doesn't die in this battle, our Lu family can accept him and enjoy the treatment of a core disciple. Only now do you know how to snatch people from me? Too late." Luo Shuiyao scoffed proudly. She then looked at Yi Chen, who was in the sky. Light flashed through her beautiful eyes. "You're really surprising me more and more." Tang Jianfeng's expression was solemn as he muttered, "The strength of his physical body is almost on par with Big Brother World Edge." Looking at the younger generation of Upper Three Heavens, he only submitted to one person. That was the monster of the Luo family, Luo Tianya. "Looks like I'm really old." Niu Qingshan, who had witnessed this scene with his own eyes, was both shocked and desolate. Guan Shanyue was his senior and junior brother. They were disciples of the same master, and they learned almost the same content. However, he was not as powerful as Guan Shanyue. Now Yi Chen had injured Guan Shanyue. Did that not mean that he, Niu Qingshan, was no match for Yi Chen? Guan Shanyue, who was in the sky, held back the pain as he stared at Yi Chen with an extremely grim expression. Why is his body so powerful? He had once discovered the remains of a martial Dao powerhouse who had passed away in meditation in a cave abode. The most valuable among them was the mysterious grade martial technique, the hidden wind lightning force. Such a martial technique would cause disputes even in Shang Santian. Therefore, he had always cultivated it in secret and had never shown it to outsiders. Even in the few battles with his senior brother, Niu Qingshan, he had never used it. The reason why he used it this time was because Xiao Yang promised him 2 pure Yang pills. That was why he exposed it and planned to kill Yi Chen in one go. Never did he expect Yi Chen to break his martial technique. He had even injured him in one go. Go to hell and ask the King of Hell. Yi Chen did not say anything else to him. The killing intent in his eyes grew stronger. He attacked again and unleashed the shock hammer from the divine fist created in 33 days. Golden lightning wrapped around his fist, as if it had triggered heavenly lightning and earthly fire, and it blasted at Guan Shanyue's head. This time, he did not hold back at all. Due to the fact that he had suffered once, Guan Shangyue did not dare to fight him head-on. He immediately roared, "Martial Venerable Domain!" Boom! The space in front of him shook faintly. It was like an invisible net that was stretching rapidly, and the direction that it was stretching was Yi Chen. Lu Qing, who was on the ground, frowned slightly and said, "I didn't expect Guan Shangyue to be forced to use his martial venerable domain." "The outcome of this battle has been decided," Xiao Yang sneered. "Mad Southern Yi, I admit that you're very powerful. Your physical body can be said to be invincible, but so what?" Guan Shangyue laughed maniacally. "Ha ha, you're not a martial venerable after all. You'll definitely die under my domain." Once he became a martial venerable, he could release his consciousness and form his own domain. Within the domain, a martial venerable was the king who controlled everything. If a bullet entered the domain, he could stop the bullet with a single thought. Even Yi Chen's attack was no exception. However, in the next moment, he felt like someone was strangling him. Yi Chen's quake hammer broke through his martial venerable domain and smashed at his face. A golden fist shadow rapidly enlarged in Guan Shanyue's eyes. He did not even have the time to react. The punch landed squarely on his face. Bang! As the punch landed, half of Guan Shanyue's face caved in on the spot. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and there were teeth mixed in the blood. At that moment, Yi Chen threw another punch. The fist shadows were like lightning, and they were as powerful as lightning. Everyone saw the fist shadows that filled the sky were like dense raindrops that smashed onto Guan Shanyue's face domineeringly and fiercely. "I've never provoked anyone before, much less the Heavenly Palace. It's fine that you've done something behind my back time and time again. The last thing you should do is touch my woman." Yi Chen was expressionless. Golden light flickered in his eyes, and his gaze was sharp and terrifying. He looked down from above and stepped on Guan Shanyue. Rumble! Guan Shanyue fell from the sky on the spot. Meanwhile, Yi Chen maintained the posture of stepping on him and stomped him into the ground in the end. Ah! Incomparably shrill screams could be heard. They echoed endlessly between heaven and earth. P.S. Today's update for the 4th chapter has been completed. I'll continue tomorrow. Thank you for your support. Please give me monthly votes and recommendation vote. Thank you. Chapter 675. Bang! They watched as Yi Chen stomped Guan Shanyue from the sky like a god of war and stomped him into the ground. At this moment there was silence. The entire world was dead silent. Everyone's hearts stopped at this moment. They could not snap back to their senses for a long time. That was the palace master of the heavenly palace, a martial venerable. As long as he did not leave Shang Santian, he could dominate the world. Moreover, he was a terrifying powerhouse with the help of a mysterious grade martial technique. He did not expect Yi Chen to beat him up like this. From the beginning to the end, Guan Shanyue was being crushed. He used the mysterious grade martial technique, the hidden wind lightning force, but he was still being crushed after using the martial venerable domain. Guan Shanyue's continuous screams pulled everyone back from their daze. Then, they stared blankly at the figure in the distance. All of them gulped. Wush Dai Tinglu, Yan Nanfei, and the rest on the ground looked at each other before sucking in a breath of cold air. Supreme Yi was actually so terrifying? I'm old. Looks like I'm really old. After Niu Qingshan finally accepted reality, his gaze when he looked at Yi Chen again was complicated. He seemed to be gratified, lonely, but most of it was shock and surprise. In the entire China, he was the first to pay attention to Yi Chen. He had been paying attention to Yi Chen ever since he killed Yuan Bupo and became famous. It could be said that his feelings for Yi Chen were the most complicated. It was like the admiration of an elder toward a junior, but also like a friend. He had witnessed the rise of a monster with his own eyes, and he had once again witnessed this monster surpass the older generation. This kid is the only hope of the Chinese cultivation world. Niu Qingshan's eyes were filled with smiles. Anyone in the Chinese cultivation world can die, even me, but this kid can't. What everyone didn't notice was Su Yuwei, who was in the crowd, was trembling. At that moment, she bit her lips and stared at the thin figure in the distance. She was in a daze. So, he's actually so powerful. Yao Yao. At that moment, Lu Qing heaved a sigh of relief. He suddenly turned his head and said to Luo Shuiyao, "My Lu family has taken a liking to Yi Chen. As long as your family doesn't fight with my family can give you 10 pure yang pills." As soon as these words came out, even Luo Shuiyao was shocked. 10 pure yang pills. Only the elders of the ancient families of Shang Santian like them could enjoy such treatment. Moreover, they were only given 10 pills a year. They did not expect the Lu family to be willing to pay such a price to poach Yi Chen. You wish. Although that was the case, Luo Shuiyao rejected him without hesitation. She said angrily, "Can my relationship with Yi Chen be measured by 10 pure yang pills?" At the end of her sentence, she mumbled, "At least 20 pills." The corner of Lu Qing's mouth twitched slightly, and then he chuckled. 20 pure yang pills. Do you think it's cabbages? Even he, Lu Qing, who was a core disciple of the Lu family of the ancient clan of Shang Santian, only received 10 pills a year. The conversation between the two was heard by Xiao Yang and the others. Twitch. The eyes of Xiao Yang and the rest were twitching, and the muscles on their faces were twitching. The expressions of Lin Han, Du Ming, Duan Feng, and the others were terrifyingly gloomy. Initially, they thought that although Yi Chen was known as the East Asia #1, he had yet to reach Martial Venerable. Even if he had, he would definitely not be Guan Shanyue's match. Who would have thought that Guan Shanyue could not fight back at all? Moreover, they heard that the Luo family and the Lu family were fighting to recruit Yi Chen. At that moment, Bai Xin, Duan Feng, Xiao Yang, Huang Yu, Lin Han, Du Ming, and the rest looked at each other with grim eyes. They could see the killing intent in each other's eyes, thick killing intent. This person could not be left alive. To be able to grow to such an extent in the secular world where resources were scarce, who would be able to stop him if he were to enter Shang Santian? At the next moment, Duan Feng, who was in the crowd, took a step forward and shouted, "Mad Southern Yi, Guan Shanyue is the representative of the secular world appointed by Shang Santian. How dare you hurt him? You're looking down on Shang Santian. Die." As he took a step forward, space trembled slightly. He took advantage of Yi Chen turning around to sneak an attack on his back. The aura that erupted from his body was even more terrifying than Guan Shanyue's. Bastard! Impudent! The moment he unleashed his aura, Niu Qingshan, who had been secretly guarding against them, flew into a rage. Luo Shuiyao's pretty face changed slightly. She subconsciously wanted to attack, but Bai Xin from the Bai family blocked her way. Tang Jianfeng stared at Xiao Yang, who had locked onto him, with a grim expression. The sword intent on his body erupted. Luo Shuiyao said coldly, "Bai Xin, Xiao Yang, what are you trying to do?" "Of course, I'm representing Shang Santian to get rid of Mad Southern Yi." Xiao Yang smiled coldly and said, "Yao Yao, you're no match for me. I advise you not to affect our relationship for an outsider. I'm not afraid of your brother." T. Luo Shuiyao's face was livid. "I'm also from Shang Santian. How can you represent me?" Her heart sank. She did not expect Xiao Yang and the rest to do this. They actually asked Duan Feng to attack Yi Chen. She knew Duan Feng's ability very well. Even two Guan Shanyue combined were no match for him. Boom! Niu Qingshan shouted and unleashed all of his cultivation base. He took a step forward and charged at Duan Feng, who was charging at Yi Chen. However, at this moment, Huang Yu from the Huang family of Shang Santian moved. As the void trembled, he blocked Niu Qingshan's path like a ghost. Huang Yu said with a fake smile, "Dragon King, this is a personal grudge between Shang Santian and Mad Southern Yi. It's best if you don't interfere. Be *****. Niu Qingshan's face was livid. He could not help but curse. Mad Southern Yi is a member of the Chinese cultivation world, and he's even the next Dragon King that I personally appointed. If you dare to touch him, it's obvious that you're looking down on me. Huang Yu chuckled, his eyes filled with threat. So, does that mean that your dragon soul wants to start a war with Shang Santian? Let's fight then. A bunch of shameless bastards. I've tolerated you guys for a long time. At that moment, Niu Qingshan's eyes were bloodshot. His long hair fluttered wildly like a crazy demon. After a roar, he took the lead to attack. At that moment, all the anger in his heart erupted. He was the Dragon King. He was in charge of protecting China. However, Shang Santian went against him everywhere. After entering the world, they even ignored the existence of the Dragon Soul and caused trouble in the world. He could tolerate it for the sake of the Chinese cultivation world. However, he could not touch Yi Chen. That was because Yi Chen was not only the next Dragon King that he had secretly appointed. He was also the future hope of the Chinese cultivation world. Chapter 676. Bleck. Huang Yu spat out a mouthful of blood and roared, "You're crazy, old man. I think you're really crazy." He did not expect Niu Qingshan, who had been holding it in all this time, to become so crazy. Every move he made seemed like he was going all out. Although both of them were beginner-stage martial venerables, Huang Yu was slightly stronger in terms of real combat strength. However, at this moment, he was being suppressed by Niu Qingshan. "I'm indeed crazy, but you guys forced me to do this." Niu Qingshan laughed maniacally, causing Huang Yu to retreat. His performance shocked Xiao Yang and the rest. Obviously, they did not expect Niu Qingshan, who had always been inferior to Guan Shangyue, to unleash such combat strength at this moment. "Let me help you." Du Ming sneered and slapped Niu Qingshan with a terrifying gust of wind. Obviously, he did not care about etiquette and shame. He wanted to fight 2 against 1. Boom! His palm accurately landed on Niu Qingshan's body. Niu Qingshan grunted. All the ribs in his body were broken. He threw a punch at him. Sneak attack from behind, shameless bastard. Huang Yu threw a punch at his head. Crack! Niu Qingshan's left arm was fractured, revealing his white bones. Seeing this scene, Dai Tinglu and the others' eyes almost popped out of their sockets. What did they see? They saw the people of Shang Santian bullying the cultivators of the secular world with numbers. They saw Shang Santian ignoring the rules and treating them like air. Ah! Dai Tinglu suddenly laughed out loud. Brother Yen, Brother Pang, Brother Han, and the many fellow cultivators of China, is your blood still warm? Yen Nanfei's eyes were bloodshot. 10 years of drinking ice can't cool my blood. 10 years of drinking ice can't cool my blood. The dozens of Chinese masters who came with Yi Chen shouted in unison. A proper negotiation, a proper fair battle. Now, Shang Santian had taken the opportunity to break it. If that was the case, how long were they going to endure? 10 years of drinking ice can't cool my blood. His voice was like thunder as it reverberated in the air. The commotion caused the expressions of Xiao Yang and the rest to change. Even though they were only martial Dao masters, in the eyes of martial venerables, they were no different from ants. However, it was such a voice. They couldn't help but shudder subconsciously. Dai Tinglu laughed maniacally until tears came out of his eyes. So what if you're a martial venerable? Today, we must kill a revered martial artist to liven things up. As his voice fell, he leaped resolutely towards Huang Yu and Du Ming, who were fighting with Niu Qingshan. His eyes were filled with frenzied killing intent. Kill! Kill! After that, Yen Nanfei and the dozens of martial Dao masters attacked one after another. They attacked Du Ming fearlessly. This sudden turn of events caused everyone to be shocked. You bunch of trash! You're courting death! Seeing that dozens of people were attacking him, Du Ming snorted coldly. His eyes were filled with disdain. His fist broke through the void and landed on Dai Tinglu, who was at the front. Bang! A long mist of blood splattered in the air. Then, Dai Tinglu's body flew backward heavily. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Meanwhile, Niu Qingshan had also grasped his flaw. Taking the risk of being heavily injured by Huang Yu, he punched Du Ming's chest. Xiao Yang's gaze was cold. Lin Han, go kill them. Lin Han nodded slightly and revealed a cruel smile. He was about to kill the dozens of masters who were holding Du Ming back. At this moment, a figure blocked his path. Lin Han could not help but say in a deep voice, Lu Qing, what are you doing? Xiao Yang snorted coldly, Lu Qing, do you want to learn from Luo Shuiyao? These people in front of you have nothing to do with you. If you know what's good for you, don't meddle in other people's business. Lu Qing, who had always been smiling at everyone, had an extremely calm expression at this moment. Xiao Yang, you've gone too far. Get lost. Lin Han slapped him. You want to play? Lu Qing did not retreat. Instead, he took the initiative to charge forward. An extremely terrifying aura erupted from his body. All right, I'll play with you too. This series of unforeseen events happened extremely quickly. It was done in the blink of an eye. At that moment, Duan Feng, the culprit who was charging at Yi Chen, was less than 5 steps away from Yi Chen. Meanwhile, a huge palm print had already been condensed in his hand. The gigantic palm print was almost in a barbaric manner. It slapped at Yi Chen's head. Are all the people from Shang Santian as shameless as you? In the blink of an eye, Yi Chen scoffed coldly. Subsequently, he grabbed at the air with both hands and formed a blade with his fingers. Sizzle, a sharp saber chi swept through the sky. A golden saber gleam flashed and shot out. It passed through the air and directly slashed at the palm print. Rumble, then, a terrifying power swept out. Duan Feng could not help but take a step back. Meanwhile, countless cracks spread on the ground under Yi Chen's feet. He took 2 steps back from the terrifying energy wave. You actually broke my mountain-splitting palm. After the storm dissipated, Duan Feng squinted, and surprise flashed in his eyes. Interesting. No wonder that piece of trash, Guan Shangyue, is no match for you. At the same time, Yi Chen had already seen what happened to Niu Qingshan and the rest. His expression turned grim, and he wanted to interfere. However, Duan Feng blocked his way at the right time. Do you remember what I said to you when you entered the hotel earlier? You will die in my hands today. A cruel smile appeared at the corner of Duan Feng's lips. Not only will you die, but even the people behind me will die. You guys are courting death. A voice filled with extreme killing intent was heard. At the next moment, Yi Chen's eyes shone with a terrifying golden gleam. He looked at Duan Feng coldly. I didn't want to become enemies with Shang Santian. Since you guys want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. A ferocious and overbearing aura swept out from his body. It made Duan Feng feel like Yi Chen had transformed into a terrifying demonic beast that was eyeing him covetously. Where did this brat get such a strong murderous aura? For some reason, his heart trembled slightly. Then, he snorted coldly and said, shameless boasting. Do you really think you're invincible just because you defeated Guan Shangyue? He patted the storage bag on his body, and a green glow tore through the air. It then turned into a green saber that he held in his hand. I'll show you what a spirit weapon is before you die. The killing intent in Duan Feng's eyes did not decrease. The green saber in his hand carried terrifying energy as a saber gleam slashed down from the sky. The commotion immediately attracted the attention of the rest. Even Niu Qingshan and the rest, who were fighting, stopped one after another. They stared at Yi Chen and Duan Feng intently. Luo Shuiyao's pretty face changed drastically. She could not help but exclaim, It's Duan Feng's spirit weapon, the Origin Yang saber. I didn't expect him to use it against Yi Chen. Chapter 677. As soon as she finished her sentence, Even the expressions of Xiao Yang and the others slightly froze. Even ancient martial artists used swords, let alone modern ancient martial artists. To martial venerables, they would choose to refine a weapon that belonged to them in order to increase their combat strength. This kind of weapon was called a spirit weapon, and only martial venerables could refine it. Once a spirit weapon was unleashed, there was nothing it could not break. Especially when it was activated by true energy, a single slash was enough to split any cultivator below martial venerable in half. Lu Qing frowned and said, Yi Chen is in danger this time. Although he was shocked by Yi Chen's ability when he defeated Guan Shangyue earlier, that was because Guan Shangyue, a martial venerable from the secular world, could not refine a spirit weapon. On the other hand, a martial venerable with a spirit weapon could double his combat strength. Duan Feng is so shameless. Luo Shuiyao was so angry that her face turned pale. She wanted to help Yi Chen, but Xiao Yang and the rest kept staring at her. Mad Southern Yi will definitely die this time. Xiao Yang and the rest could not help but sneer. It was as if they could already see Yi Chen being split into two by Duan Feng. Die! Duan Feng slashed at Yi Chen. Sharp saber chi swept across the sky. Following that, an ear-piercing sound was heard. It was incomparably powerful. Just when everyone thought that Yi Chen would try his best to avoid the attack, they saw him stretch his hand out and grab Duan Feng's origin yang saber. What is he doing? Is he trying to grab Duan Feng's spirit weapon with his bare hands? I think this brat is crazy. Duan Feng's origin yang saber can even cut through steel easily, let alone flesh and blood. Everyone was shocked when they saw Yi Chen's sudden action. Subsequently, countless cold laughs were heard. To them, Yi Chen's action was no different from throwing an egg at a rock. He was simply courting death. Tang Jianfeng, who had been silent all this while, shook his head lightly and said, Yi Chen is really too careless this time. Even I don't dare to take Duan Feng's attack head-on. Only Brother Tianya can take it head-on. Jianfeng, not everyone can be as monstrous as Luo Tianya. Lu Qing shook his head and smiled bitterly. That's right, there's only one Luo Tianya in the entire Shang Santian. Tang Jian nodded, his eyes filled with respect. Luo Shuiyao glared at Yi Chen when she heard that. She was extremely nervous. Will you be the second pervert? Mad Southern Yi, I have to say you're overestimating yourself. Duan Feng, who was slashing at Yi Chen, was also shocked by Yi Chen's action. However, disdain soon appeared on his face. Boom, the saber finally landed on Yi Chen. Just the dissipating saber chi alone was enough to completely shatter the surrounding air, forming a vacuum of over 30 square meters around the two of them. At that moment, Yi Chen's index and middle fingers separated. He extended them and grabbed the tip of Duan Feng's spirit weapon, the origin yang saber. As for the Yuan yang saber that could slash through everything, it actually stopped at this moment. Hua! Seeing this scene, everyone was in an uproar. He actually caught Duan Feng's Yuan yang saber with just 2 fingers? To them, the scene in front of them was like a dream. Even though they had witnessed it with their own eyes, they still found it unbelievable. Duan Feng's gaze focused. True energy surged from his body as he tried his best to pull the origin yang saber back. However, he was shocked to discover that no matter how hard he tried, the origin yang saber was still clamped tightly by Yi Chen's fingers and middle fingers. It was like a rock that could not be moved at all. How is this possible? How is this possible? At that moment, his expression finally changed. His eyes were filled with shock and shock. For some reason, a chill gradually seeped into his pores. This made him feel slightly uneasy. Compared to his shock, Yi Chen's expression was so cold that it made one's heart palpitate. A hint of disdain slowly bloomed at the corner of his lips. Is this what you're proud of? At the next moment there was a crisp sound. Crack, 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 crack. The Yuan yang saber between his fingers began to tremble violently. Under everyone's horrified gazes, cracks began to appear on the Yuan Yang saber. Boom! A spirit weapon that could only be possessed by a martial saint had actually shattered into countless pieces at this moment. It was shattered by Yi Chen's 2 fingers. Blech! The destruction of his life spirit weapon affected Duan Feng's mind, and a stream of scarlet blood spurted from his mouth. I'm no match for him. Run, run! A terrifying thought flashed through Duan Feng's mind. He retreated quickly, wanting to rush to Xiao Yang and the rest. At that moment, he finally realized how terrifying Yi Chen was. The trash in his eyes had exceeded his imagination. However, as soon as he turned around, he was greeted by Yi Chen's eyes that were filled with killing intent and his extremely cold expression. Help! Duan Feng's throat moved violently. He wanted to shout for help by instinct. Yi Chen stretched his hand and grabbed the hand that was holding the Origin Yang saber earlier accurately. He exerted force in his arm and pulled hard. Gotcha! Under everyone's shocked gazes, Duan Feng's arm was torn off by Yi Chen from his shoulder like a piece of rotten wood. A bloody mist rose into the air. Duan Feng's shrill screams immediately reverberated in this world, and the extreme pain caused his facial features to twist together. Bang! The cold killing intent on Yi Chen's face did not slow down at all. He threw a punch at his Dantian's sea of qi. Boom! Under the terrifying force, Duan Feng's body was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. In the end, he smashed heavily onto the ground. Blech! Duan Feng fell to the ground. His body that was covered in blood twitched continuously. His eyes were filled with fear and resentment when he looked at Yi Chen. His Dantian sea of qi was destroyed by Yi Chen. His cultivation base was destroyed in an instant. He was reduced to a cripple. This was even more terrifying than killing him. Before anyone could react, Yi Chen stepped hard on his face. Yi Chen stepped hard on his face as his extremely cold voice was heard. Is the Duan family of Shang Santian sending someone like you? The surroundings suddenly fell into dead silence. It was deathly silent. Everyone's gazes were focused on the thin figure that was less than 100 feet away from them. Their eyes were filled with disbelief, shock and even fear. Especially Xiao Yang and the rest. Until now, they still could not believe that Duan Feng, who was a martial venerable and possessed a spirit weapon, was defeated by Yi Chen. Moreover, his cultivation base was crippled. If this were to spread to Shang Santian, no one would believe it. Chapter 678. Ha ha ha, great, great! After a while, a burst of laughter broke the dead silence. Niu Qingshan, who was covered in injuries, was dumbfounded. His eyes were filled with relief. Just when Duan Feng attacked, he thought that Yi Chen, who had fought Guan Shangyue, was no match for Duan Feng. He fell into a state of madness in his rage. He had never been so furious before. The reason being that Yi Chen was the only hope of the Chinese cultivation world in his eyes. Duan Feng's attack was to destroy his hope. How could he not be furious? However, who would have thought that not only was Yi Chen not killed by Duan Feng, he even defeated him in an overbearing manner and crippled his cultivation base. There was nothing more exciting than this. Hearing his laughter, Yan Nanfei and the rest clenched their fists tightly. Their eyes were filled with passion and pride as they looked at Yi Chen. Shang Santian looked down on the secular world. However, the people of the secular world crippled a genius of Shang Santian. Luo Shuiyao looked at Yi Chen blankly. This guy is becoming more and more like the pervert at home. Pervert. Tang Jianfeng could not help but curse. Shaking a spirit weapon with his bare hands. What was he if not a pervert? Lu Qing finally snapped back to his senses and sucked in a breath of cold air. He said to Luo Shuiyao, Yao Yao, do you still mean what you said earlier? What? Luo Shuiyao could not react for a moment. Lu Qing hurriedly said, I said that as long as my Lu family gives you 20 pure yang pills, the Luo family won't fight with my Lu family for Yi Chen. As the saying went, geniuses were proud. Lu Qing admired Yi Chen for defeating Guan Shangyue earlier. However, after Yi Chen crippled Duan Feng, he treated Yi Chen as someone on the same level. He even thought that Yi Chen's talent was even more terrifying than his. If such a person were to be recruited into the Lu family and nurtured, his future achievements would be unimaginable. Luo Shuiyao looked at him with a faint smile and said, "Didn't someone reject me just now? He even said that pure yang pills aren't cabbages." Cough, cough, cough. A hint of embarrassment flashed across Lu Qing's face. He rubbed his hands and coughed. I was just joking. How about this? My Lu clan will offer 20 pure yang pills and a profound rank spirit weapon. Luo Shuiyao said, 50 pure yang pills and 3 profound rank spirit weapons. Lu Qing almost spat out a mouthful of blood when he heard that. You can't rip people off like this. While they were talking, they saw Yi Chen carrying Duan Feng, who looked like a dead dog, and walking slowly toward Niu Qingshan and the rest. Du Ming and Huang Yu, who were beside Niu Qingshan, had a change in expression. They thought that he was going to attack them, and they hurriedly retreated to Xiao Yang's side. Yi Chen tossed Duan Feng aside and lifted his head to look at Niu Qingshan. "Old Niu, how is it? Duan Feng had attacked him just now." He also saw the scene of Niu Qingshan going crazy. It would be a lie to say that he did not dare to move. Niu Qingshan coughed and a trace of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Cough, cough, cough. Don't worry, I won't die so easily. It's good that you're not dead. Leave the rest to me. Niu Qingshan's expression changed immediately. He seemed to have guessed what he was going to do and said hurriedly, "Yi Di don't." He seemed to have suffered internal injuries from being too agitated. He spat another mouthful of blood. "There are some things that I must do, and some people that I must kill." Yi Chen turned around slowly and stared at Xiao Yang and the rest coldly. A wave of killing intent surged out of his heart like a stormy sea, and it surged in the space. At that moment, the air became extremely oppressive. It was like a suppressed volcano that was about to erupt. Xiao Yang and the rest felt their hearts tremble when they sensed the overwhelming killing intent. They felt like they were being watched by a terrifying beast. Uneasiness, fear, regret, all sorts of emotions rippled in everyone's hearts. Xiao Yang took a deep breath in and said while suppressing the fear inside of him, "Mad Southern Yi, what are you trying to do?" Yi Chen said nothing. He walked slowly toward them with his hands behind his back. Initially, he thought that not everyone in the world was like Bai Zhan Yuan, which was why he came to participate in this negotiation. However, Xiao Yang, Duan Feng, and the rest were high and mighty. Their disregard for all living beings disappointed him. Luo Shuiyao's pretty face changed when she seemed to have sensed his intentions. She stopped him immediately. "Yi Chen, don't do anything rash." Yi Chen's eyes were cold. "Move aside." Luo Shuiyao did not move at all. Her gaze was extremely determined. "You've already proven yourself with your abilities. Don't be rash anymore." She knew that Yi Chen wanted to kill Xiao Yang and the rest. That idea was too crazy. Not to mention Xiao Yang, Bai Xian, Du Ming, Huang Yu, Lin Han, and the rest were all martial venerables. None of them were weaker than Duan Feng. Even if Yi Chen had the ability to kill them, however, he would completely offend the ancient families behind them. By then, Yi Chen would definitely become the world's enemy. He would have nowhere to go. Even she would not be able to protect Yi Chen. "Get lost." Yi Chen waved his sleeve and sent her flying. In the crowd, Du Ming's eyes flickered as he sneered. "Mad Southern Yi, you've only defeated Duan Feng, yet you're so arrogant that you want to kill all of us? This day next year will be the anniversary of your death." Yi Chen shouted all of a sudden. His voice was like rumbling thunder, causing Xiao Yang and the rest's scalps to explode. Shameless boasting, die. Extreme killing intent flashed through the eyes of an old man in gray from the Huang clan who was a martial venerable. With a wave of his hand, he grabbed a terrifying true energy and charged at Yi Chen directly. Old thing, when I came in earlier, you said that I killed the younger generation of the Huang family. You want me to give you an explanation. Today, I'll give you an explanation. Yi Chen scoffed. Facing his fierce attack, he did not dodge at all. Instead, he performed the sky-shaking hammer from the divine fist created in 33 days directly. With a punch, space shook. Boom! With a loud bang, the gray-robed old man from the Huang family screamed. As if he had been struck by lightning, his body was sent flying and exploded into a bloody mist in the air. Dead, Uncle Kuan is dead. Huang Yu, who was in the crowd, immediately revealed a look of fear when he saw this. One had to know that Uncle Kuan was an old man from the Huang family. His strength was only a step away from becoming an intermediate-level martial venerable, but he was killed by Yi Chen with a single punch. Negotiate? I've never negotiated with anyone in my life. What I say is the rule. Since you're not convinced, I'll kill you until you're convinced. Yi Chen's killing intent did not decrease. He charged at Huang Yu, who was in the crowd. It was this person who had injured Niu Qingshan earlier. Mad Southern Yi, how dare you! Xiao Yang's scalp went numb. He did not expect Yi Chen to become more and more powerful the more he killed. In the end, he could kill a martial venerable with a single punch. P.S. Today's update for the 4th chapter has been completed. I'll continue tomorrow. Thank you for your support. Requesting monthly votes and recommendation vote. Chapter 679. Mad Southern Yi, how dare you! As Xiao Yang's furious voice fell, Yi Qingtang's expression changed. The air around them suddenly froze. Apart from Luo Shuiyao, Tang Jianfeng, and Lu Qing, the expressions of the rest of the people from Shang Santian were extremely grim. They were all members of the ancient families of Shang Santian. Their martial Dao had been passed down for 1,000 years, and they boasted that they were superior to others. When had they ever been provoked by a person from the secular world? Moreover, this person from the secular world had killed Huang Kuan from the Huang family right in front of them. Not only did he want to kill them as well. Insolence, extreme insolence. Provocation, blatant provocation. Ha ha ha! Yi Chen laughed out loud. His laughter shook the entire world, causing it to seem like it was about to lose its color. What are you laughing at? Bai Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent in the crowd. I'm laughing at your arrogance. I'm laughing at your overestimation. I'm laughing at how you're just a bunch of trash who are ignorant. Yi Chen scoffed coldly. His eyes were as cold as a knife. To ordinary cultivators, Shang Santian might really be that unreachable. However, to Yi Chen, a heavenly emperor who had experienced countless life and death situations and cultivated from the cultivation world to the immortal world, what was a mere Shang Santian? What was a mere Shang Santian to him? Let's attack together and kill him. Du Ming, who was in the crowd, roared. Luo Shuiyao's pretty face changed drastically. She wanted to help Yi Chen. Luo Shuiyao. Xiao Yang shouted coldly. Don't forget that you're also a member of Shang Santian. If you dare to help Yi today, don't blame us ancient families for joining forces to suppress your Luo family in the future. Luo Shuiyao, if you dare to move, so what if you have Luo Tianya behind you? We'll definitely kill you. Bai Xian from the Bai family gritted her teeth. Luo Shuiyao's expression changed a few times when she heard that. In the end, she retreated to the side. Her beautiful eyes were filled with guilt. Yi Chen, I'm sorry, Xiao Yang was right. She was from Shang Santian after all. If she went against Xiao Yang and the rest today, it would be equivalent to putting the Luo family behind her on the opposite side of the ancient families. The Luo family could not bear the consequences. Tang Jianfeng and Lu Qing, who were next to her, secretly sighed. They gave up on helping Yi Chen. Luo Shuiyao couldn't afford it, but how could they? Attack! Kill this fiend! Xiao Yang took a step forward and an extreme killing intent erupted from his body. How dare he look down on Shang Santian? He must die. By Xian of the Bai family of the ancient family of Shang Santian activated the true energy in her body with all her might. The Huang family's Huang Yu glared at Yi Chen. We must kill him. We must not let him live. Otherwise, this bastard will definitely become a huge threat to Shang Santian like Jiang Yuheng back then. Boom! Terrifying auras exploded at the same time. The aura that could suppress the sky swept toward Yi Chen crazily, causing the entire space to tremble slightly. Under such a heart-palpitating pressure, Yan Nanfei and the rest could only feel an irresistible pressure sweeping towards them. It was as if a mountain had descended, causing them to fall to the ground uncontrollably. Their faces were filled with shock. Not good. In the distance, Niu Qingshan's expression changed. He subconsciously wanted to make a move, but he was shocked to find that his body couldn't move, as if he had been cast with the body-freezing spell. It was Yi Chen who had done something to him earlier. He could not help but cry as he charged at the seal in his body crazily. Brat Yi, are you going to become enemies with everyone in the world? Why are you still so young? Since ancient times, Yi Chen was not the only one in the Chinese cultivation world who had taken this path. There were even many outstanding powerhouses among them. However, they had all failed. The outcome of failure was death. For example, his master had cultivated his entire life. He had abandoned all his disciples and killed his way into Shang Santian alone. He wanted to seek justice for the secular world. Another example was the previous Dragon King, Jiang Yuheng. Back then, he had killed his way into Kunlun and wanted to stop Shang Santian from entering the world by himself. This was the Emperor Dao. Both of them wanted to establish their hearts for the world, establish their lives for the people, inherit the ultimate techniques of the past, and establish peace for all ages. However, Shang Santian did not allow the Emperor Dao to appear. Therefore, his master had never returned. Therefore, the previous Dragon King, Jiang Yuheng, had disappeared from the ghost ship, and now Yi Chen had also embarked on this path. Why? Niu Qingshan was on the verge of going crazy. Master Jiang Yuheng, why do you guys have to take this *T Emperor Dao? It's fine if you guys die one by one, but have you considered the feelings of our descendants? Supreme Yi, Yan Nanfei and the rest, who were crawling on the ground, were furious. They hated themselves. They hated themselves for not being strong enough. They hated themselves for not being able to share Yi Chen's burden. Su Yuwei, who was far away, was struggling. She wanted Yi Chen to die, but she did not want him to die. Kill. Mad Southern Yi, no one can protect you today. Xiao Yang took out a long sword spirit weapon with a gloomy expression. The sword gleam was dazzling, and the sword qi pierced through the air and slashed at Yi Chen. Luo Shuiyao's body trembled slightly as she struggled. Tang Jianfeng comforted. He can only rely on himself now. Lu Qing shook his head slightly. We've done enough. Brother Ye's actions are too shocking. Meanwhile, he sighed internally. What a pity! Yi Chen defeated Guan Shanhua first and then crippled Duan Feng. He admired both his talent and combat strength. He even wanted to recruit Yi Chen into the Lu family. However, after Yi Chen killed Huang Kuan from Shang Santian, he knew that it was impossible. Yi Chen was truly standing on the opposite side of Shang Santian. Either he died or Xiao Yang and the rest died. However, was it possible for Xiao Yang and the rest to die? As Xiao Yang's shocking sword slashed over. Innate single chi capture, break for me. Yi Chen's expression remained the same. He stretched his hand out, causing the entire space to distort. Subsequently, it turned into a huge golden hand that slapped the sword chi on the spot. Boom! The sword chi was shattered by Yi Chen's innate chi capture on the spot. The huge golden hand did not slow down at all as it charged at Xiao Yang. Oh no! Xiao Yang's expression changed. He subconsciously wanted to dodge, but even so, the golden hand still brushed past his ear. A trail of blood splattered in the air. Xiao Yang covered his left ear and let out a blood-curdling scream. Scarlet blood flowed out from between his fingers. Everyone was shocked when they saw that. Not only did Yi Chen break Xiao Yang's sword, he almost killed him? Yi, you've killed 2 members of my Bai family. Die. Bai Xian's expression was filled with resentment. A crimson whip that was spitting terrifying true energy swept at Yi Chen like a venomous snake. Her whip was also a spirit weapon, and it was a yellow-grade spirit weapon. It was refined from the spine of a Shang Santian ferocious beast, the 7-colored spotted python. After being activated by true energy, it was extremely poisonous. As long as a cultivator came into contact with it, they would instantly turn into a pool of pus and blood. B*TCH, you're the one who's going to die. A cold gleam surged on Yi Chen's face as he faced the vicious whip. Golden flames flickered in his eyes, and golden flames appeared on his palm. He suddenly grabbed at the long whip, and a terrifying suction force erupted from his palm, carrying with it the intent of breaking dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Boom! Under Bai Xian's horrified gaze, her long whip suddenly exploded and turned into countless sparks. At the next moment, an irresistible suction force came. She was grabbed by Yi Chen. And no, her scalp went numb when she met Yi Chen's cold gaze. She wanted to beg for mercy, but she turned into a bloody mist. At that moment, Du Ming, Huang Yu, Xiao Yang, Lin Han, and the rest who were attacking Yi Chen stopped in their track. It was as if they had taken root. At that moment, Luo Shuiyao and the rest were stunned. Niu Qingshan looked like he had seen a ghost. Bai Xian was dead. Yi Chen killed her with a raise of his hand. P.S. I have a migraine. I'm really not feeling well. I'll only write 1 chapter today. I'll make it up later. Please understand. I've been updating for the past few days. Everyone has seen it. I guarantee that the subsequent plot will be even more exciting. Chapter 680. Silence. The entire world was as silent as death. Everyone's hearts trembled when they saw Bai Xian from the Bai family, who was a martial venerable, being turned into a bloody mist by Yi Chen with a raise of his hand. Luo Shuiyao and the rest could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. First, Guan Shangyue was suppressed. Then, Duan Feng was crippled. He killed Huang Kuan from the Huang family with a single punch. He killed Bai Xian from the Bai family with a raise of his hand. Only now did they believe that Yi Chen was not lying. He really wanted to kill Xiao Yang and the rest. What terrifying combat strength! Why is this guy so freakish? Lu Qing's scalp went numb when he saw that. He secretly rejoiced that he did not offend Yi Chen from the beginning. Tang Jianfeng finally reacted at that moment. His expression changed drastically. Could his cultivation base have reached intermediate-level martial venerable? The expressions of Luo Shuiyao and the rest changed. They were members of the ancient families of Shang Santian, but they were only beginner-level martial venerables. Meanwhile, Yi Chen had risen from the secular world at such a young age. He had broken through to intermediate-level martial venerable. It would not be an exaggeration to describe his talent as monstrous. Mad Southern Yi, why you actually killed Bai Xian? Xiao Yang, who had finally snapped back to his senses, looked at Yi Chen with a grim expression. His eyes were filled with shock and extreme, killing intent. Meanwhile, the faces of Huang Yu, Du Ming, Lin Han, and the rest twitched violently. Bai Xian's strength was on par with theirs. If even Bai Xian was dead, then Yi Chen stood with his hands behind his back. He looked at them coldly and said while grinning coldly, "What a joke. You guys can kill me, but I can't kill you guys? What kind of *T logic is that? Do you know that Bai Xian is Bai Xiaoyu's biological sister?" Xiao Yang's gaze was terrifyingly grim. "If you dare kill her, I swear that you're dead. You're dead." As his voice fell, the expressions of Luo Shuiyao and the rest changed drastically. It was because Xiao Yang was right. There was a peerless genius in the Bai clan. He started practicing martial arts at the age of 8, opened all the meridians in his body at the age of 12, became a martial Tao master at the age of 15, and broke through to the martial honor realm at the age of 20. It was not an exaggeration to describe this kind of talent as terrifying. It suppressed almost all the younger generation of the ancient clans in Shang Santian. Even the older generation had to sigh in front of him. Yi Chen is in big trouble now. Lu Qing sighed softly, his face filled with fear. I heard that Bai Xiaoyu has also entered the world. Once he finds out that Bai Xian died in Yi Chen's hands, Yi Chen will definitely die. Even Huang Yu from the Huang family cursed with extreme resentment. Mad Southern Yi, not only will you die, but your entire family will die. Anyone related to you will die. Yi Chen's expression remained cold, as if he did not hear anything. A moment later, an emotionless voice was heard slowly. I don't know if I'll die, but you guys will definitely die. His voice fell. Yi Chen moved, and a violent aura exploded. It swept toward Xiao Yang and the rest in an overbearing manner. Be *starred. How dare you? When Xiao Yang saw that, he hurriedly retreated. Then, he took a deep breath in and said, Yi Chen, I admit that we were too aggressive from the beginning. However, you've already killed a few of our people. If we continue, both sides will suffer. Why don't we bury the hatchet? Xiao Yang, Du Ming, Huang Yu, and the rest looked at him in disbelief when they heard that. They could not believe that he had said that. Shut up! Xiao Yang shouted and looked at Huang Yu and the other two with an extremely grim gaze. He secretly sent a voice transmission. This guy's strength is too terrifying. If this continues, we'll all die. We can only calm him down first and settle the score with him later. Haha! Yi Chen chuckled softly as if he was disdainful. All of you are from Shang Santian. You've always been arrogant. I can't believe that you'll admit your mistakes. Yi Chen, Xiao Yang said coldly, don't forget that we represent the ancient clans of Shang Santian. If you dare kill us, the ancient clans behind us won't let you off. That's right. Du Ming suppressed the killing intent inside of him and said slowly, if you're willing to reconcile with us, we can plead with the Bai family after this. Perhaps we can resolve the matter of you killing Bai Xian and the rest. Ah! Yi Chen suddenly laughed out loud. His laughter shook the sky. Guys, do you really think that I'm as smart as you guys? Letting you guys go is no different from letting a tiger return to the mountain. Moreover, the few ancient martial artists behind you are nothing to me. It's just a matter of destroying them with a single strike. Great, very good. Go to hell then. Xiao Yang was completely forced into a corner by Yi Chen. He looked at Huang Yu and the rest next to him with hatred in his eyes and said, let's attack together. This brat has fought a few battles in a row. He's already an arrow at the end of its flight. He won't be able to hold on for long. Kill. 4 figures rushed out in an instant. Berserk energy ripples whizzed out. At this moment, the 3 of them had unleashed their strongest attack. Blue Dragon Fist. Heaven's Severing Palm. Giant Spirit Scarlet Sun Palm. Rumble, a majestic storm of energy spread out in this area. The 4 of them pushed the true energy in their bodies to the extreme. That terrifying attack caused the air to tremble. You want to kill me? Yi Chen's eyes were filled with disdain as he watched that. He took a step forward, and his body shook the space while the ground cracked. At that moment, golden light erupted from his body, and a chill surged. It made people tremble subconsciously and want to kneel to him. Smash it. After we kill you, we'll go to Tianan and kill everyone related to you. We won't leave anyone alive. Xiao Yang's expression was ferocious as he roared crazily. The 4 of them shot out like arrows. Their attacks approached Yi Chen quickly. Everyone's breathing stopped at that moment. Luo Shuiyao, Niu Qinshan, and the rest were extremely nervous. They could not help but clench their fists subconsciously. Sword, come! Yi Chen opened his mouth and spat. A flying sword landed in his hand from his mouth. The almighty killer sword trembled in his hand as monstrous sword chi spread within a radius of 300 meters. As spirit artifact. As the almighty killer sword appeared, endless shock flashed across Xiao Yang's eyes. How could he have a spirit artifact? Oh no, retreat, retreat. After sensing the monstrous sword intent coming from the almighty killer sword, Huang Yu's expression was shrouded in fear. Even the depths of his soul were trembling. At the same time, an old man in a Taoist robe and holding a horsetail whisk flew over quickly. The old man's expression changed when he saw the sword gleam in Yi Chen's hand. He shouted immediately, "Spare his life!" At that moment, a murmur was heard, 800 autumns have passed since I attained the Tao. Today, my flying sword will take your head. Whoosh! A shocking sword gleam shot out of Yi Chen's hand and slashed at Xiao Yang and the other three who had fear in their eyes. Chapter 681. A monstrous sword gleam. Under everyone's stunned gazes, it streaked across the sky and accurately slashed at Xiao Yang and the other three. Swoosh, swoosh, the sword gleam pierced through the four of them like tofu. Xiao Yang and the other three suddenly froze. The four of them stared fixedly at the figure holding the flying sword over 30 meters away. Their eyes were filled with fear, regret, and indignation. They were members of the ancient clans of Shang Santian. They had come into contact with the ancient martial arts that had existed for thousands of years. To the secular world, they felt that they were like high and mighty immortals. They looked down on the secular world like ants. However, at this moment, they were killed by someone from the secular world. I really can't accept this. This thought flashed through the minds of the four of them, and they immediately closed their eyes. For streaks of blood splattered in the air, and four heads slowly fell to the ground. The incomparably empty world was deathly silent at this moment. Everyone stared blankly at the four corpses in the distance, but their hearts were in turmoil. Dead. Other than Luo Shuiyao, Tang Jianfeng, Lu Qing, and the crippled Duan Feng, everyone from Shang Santian who had come to negotiate this time was dead. This was an outcome that no one had expected. Everyone's gazes landed on the thin figure in the distance. Their scalps were numb, and every pore on their bodies stood on end. This guy is really ruthless. A moment later, Luo Shuiyao's beautiful eyes were still filled with shock. Her pretty face was pale as she said, "He said he would kill them all, and he really killed them all. That was close." Lu Qing took a deep breath in and felt a chill run down his neck. He could not help but rejoice that he did not provoke Yi Chen from the beginning, nor did he work together with Xiao Yang and the rest to suppress Yi Chen. Otherwise, one could imagine what would happen to him. Tang Jianfeng's eyes twitched as he said, "The Bai and Xiao families are going crazy." Ouyang Qing and Su Yuwei were the most complicated. Looking at the thin figure, Su Yuwei froze on the spot. Su Yuwei froze on the spot, her mind buzzing. Before this, she believed Lin Han's words. She felt that although Yi Chen was powerful, he was only powerful in the secular world. He was no match for Shang Santian. For that, she had asked Yi Chen to apologize to Shang Santian more than once. However, Yi Chen killed everyone from Shang Santian instead, including her boyfriend, Lin Han. Wrong. Wrong. Ouyang Qing's body trembled in shock. She had been brought to Shang Santian since she was young and was valued by the ancient Du family. She had always been arrogant, and she was even aware of how terrifying the Du family was. Therefore, she had always acquiesced to Du Ming's pursuit. When she entered the world this time, she heard that old Master Gu and the rest were fawning over Yi Chen at the Gu residence. At first, she did not think much of it. However, after seeing Yi Chen kill Duan Kursin, she was shocked. She had a higher opinion of Yi Chen now. Even so, she felt that Yi Chen's ability had stopped here. After that, Du Ming tried to recruit Yi Chen with a superior attitude. After Yi Chen rejected her, she thought that Yi Chen did not know how to appreciate favors. She was even more certain that Yi Chen would die in this negotiation. However, to Niu Qingshan, Yan Nanfei, and the other Chinese cultivators. There was only shock in his mind. Endless shock. They knew about Yi Chen's overbearing killing. So what if he was from Shang Santian? The mortal world still has the ability to kill you. Sigh, following a sigh, the old man in a Taoist robe and holding a horsetail whisk walked over. The old man glanced at the corpse on the ground first before his gaze eventually landed on Yi Chen. His eyes were filled with sorrow. "Little friend Yi, you've caused great trouble." Yi Chen frowned and said, "Who are you?" Ba." The old man cupped his fist and said, "I'm Li Xuanji from Wudong sect. Although this is my first time meeting you, I have 2 grudges with you. The first grudge was a few months ago. The Martial Alliance sent people to attack your family, and a Wudong disciple stopped them. The second grudge was when you went to Japan. My Wudong disciple, Song Jifeng, was imprisoned. It was all thanks to you." Yi Chen came to a realization and his expression eased slightly. Luo Shuiyao, who was standing aside, also reacted and could not help but exclaim, "You're the Grand Master of Wudong sect, Li Xuanji? I heard that he died a long time ago, right?" Her heart was filled with disbelief. Even the expressions of Tang Jianfeng, Lu Qing, and the rest changed. The Grand Master of Wudong sect, Li Xuanji. Perhaps no one in the current world knew this name, but deep in the memories of the older generation, he was a leading figure of the era. Rumor had it that this person was the founder of Wudong sect, a figure who had existed since the Qing dynasty. He was good at deduction and alchemy, and he had always stood aloof from worldly affairs. The reason why he was changed to a grandmaster was that a few decades ago, several martial Dao masters had joined forces to break into Wudong sect and destroyed the sword formation of the 7 sons of Wudong in an extremely domineering manner. Just as Wudong was about to be destroyed, Li Xuanji attacked and suppressed all the martial Dao masters. However, Li Xuanji did not take their lives. Instead, he made them carry water and chop firewood on the mountain for more than 10 years before letting them go. Because he had suppressed several martial Dao masters by himself and repaid evil with kindness, both his combat strength and temperament were excellent, so he was known as a grandmaster. At that time, Li Xuanji was already 120 years old. Now that more than 60 years had passed, Li Xuanji smiled faintly and did not answer Luo Shuiao's question. "I didn't expect someone in Shang Santian to know about me." He lifted his head to look at Yi Chen at the end of his sentence and sighed softly, "Little friend Yi, I'm not here to be your enemy. I just want to stop you from killing the people of Shang Santian. I didn't expect to be a step too late." Just as he was speaking, a violent cough came from afar. Subsequently, a man in an extremely sorry state and covered in blood slowly stood up from the ruins. It was Guan Shangyue. "He's not dead?" Yi Chen's eyes turned grim. He was about to go over with killing intent on his face when Li Xuanji stopped him. "Little friend Yi, can you spare his life for my sake?" "Spare his life?" Yi Chen sneered and said, "Elder Priestly, do you know about the grudge between me and Guan Shangyue? It can be said that everything that happened today was caused by him. Now that things have come to this, it doesn't matter whether you know or not." Li Xuanji shook his head and said, "Guan Shangyue is the Heavenly Palace's palace master. You can't kill him. Even if he's guilty, he should be judged by the Celestial Master Hall. Moreover, he's already been severely injured, and most of his cultivation base has been lost. Why should you put yourself in danger for such a person?" "Celestial Master Hall?" Yi Chen frowned. "That's right, the Celestial Master Hall." Li Xuanji nodded slightly and said, "There's the secret bureau above the Heavenly Palace and Dragon Soul, and the secret bureau covers the Celestial Master Hall. The reason why you don't know about it is because we've never shown our faces and rarely interfere in the matters of the cultivation world." As he said that, he took a good look at Yi Chen. "Little friend Yi, this world isn't as simple as you think. You must listen to me." Chapter 682. This world isn't as simple as I thought? Yi Chen's eyes flickered a few times when he heard what Li Xuanji said. He said while grinning coldly, "Elder Priestly, what will you do if I insist on killing Guan Shanyue today?" Li Xuanji sighed and was about to speak. Just as he was about to speak, a cold voice came from afar. "Li Xuanji, I think you're getting older and older. Why are you talking so much nonsense to a junior?" Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. An old man in a green robe walked through the air. The old man's face was sallow, and he was around 60 or 70 years old. His gaze was as sharp as an eagle's, and no one dared to look him straight in the eye. The moment he appeared, everyone felt an irresistible pressure. Even Luo Shuiyao, Tang Jianfeng, and the rest of the people from Shang Santian had a change in expression. On the other hand, Guan Shanyue, who was originally in despair, revealed a look of ecstasy. He shouted as if he had seen his savior, "Master Jiang, save me!" Sensing the hostility, Yi Chen said in a deep voice, "Who are you?" "This is..." Li Xuanji was about to introduce him. "Humph!" The old man scoffed coldly and looked straight at Yi Chen with a terrifying gaze. "I'm the Celestial Master Hall's revered elder, Jiang Xingyang. Junior, you can't touch Guan Shanyue with me here today." "Is that so?" Yi Chen's gaze gradually turned cold. "Then, I'll kill him right in front of you." Boom! His figure shot towards Guan Shanyue like an arrow. He suddenly threw a punch, and a golden fist force erupted. It was like the rising sun, suppressing everything. That was how he was. "If you respect me, I'll respect you 10 times. If Li Xuanji tried to persuade him nicely, he might consider it. However, Jiang Xingyang had crossed his bottom line. "Brat, how dare you!" Jiang Xingyang shouted sternly. He waved his hand and produced a mighty palm print that slapped at Yi Chen directly. The energy that filled the sky swept across the sky like a flood. "Get lost, old man!" Yi Chen threw a punch with a backhand. Rumble, the punch collided with Jiang Xingyang's palm print in the blink of an eye. Violent energy swept in all directions. "Retreat!" On the side, Tang Jianfeng's complexion changed. After reminding them, he led Luo Shuiyao and the others to retreat 100 feet away. When they looked again, their faces were filled with shock. Firstly, he was shocked by the might caused by the fight between Yi Chen and Jiang Xingyang. Secondly, he was shocked that a powerhouse like Jiang Xingyang was hiding in the Chinese cultivation world. Martial Venerable, a middle-level martial venerable. Luo Shuiyao stared at Jiang Xingyang, and her pupils constricted. Under such power, Jiang Xingyang took 2 steps back from Yi Chen's punch. Disbelief filled his face. Thud, however, Yi Chen was not much better. He staggered and took a few steps back before he managed to stabilize himself. He looked at Jiang Xingyang again and his gaze froze. An intermediate stage martial venerable? The Celestial Master Hall actually has such an expert? However, he immediately retracted his gaze and charged toward Guan Shanyue, who was trying to escape. The killing intent in his eyes surged. "Bastard!" Jiang Xingyang was furious. His eyes were filled with coldness. A terrifying xian qi emerged from his palm and condensed into a green spear. "No!" At that moment, Li Xuanji's expression changed slightly. With a sweep of his horsetail whisk, he immediately shattered the green spear. Jiang Xingyang's expression was extremely terrible. "Li Xuanji, how dare you stop me?" Just when Li Xuanji was about to speak, a scream came from afar. He saw Yi Chen throw a punch at Guan Shanyue. Guan Shanyue's body exploded into a bloody mist on the spot. Dead silence, dead silence. Luo Shuiyao and the rest were dumbfounded. They did not expect Yi Chen to kill Guan Shanyue under the obstruction of an intermediate-stage martial venerable, Jiang Xingyang. Li Xuanji's face twitched and in the end, he sighed. Jiang Xingyang's expression was terrifyingly grim. In the end it turned into a shocking roar. "Junior, you're courting death." Jiang Xingyang was truly furious at that moment. Who was he? a revered disciple of the Celestial Master Hall. An intermediate stage marshal venerable. Yi Chen killed Guan Shanyu right in front of him. How could he not be furious? He suddenly formed a seal with both hands, and a huge green net condensed in his hands. Since you don't take me seriously, follow me to the Celestial Master Hall. Is that so? Yi Chen turned around slowly and looked at him coldly. At that moment, a shout came from afar, "Stop!" At the next moment, they saw a young man running towards them. After the young man got closer, he took out a golden token and shouted, "Under the orders of the Longevity Sword, the Celestial Master Hall is not allowed to pursue the matter of Guan Shanyue's death, nor are they allowed to have any conflict with Yi Chen. If anyone disobeys, the Longevity Sword will sever their lives." As his voice fell, shock flashed across Li Xuanji and Jiang Xingyang's faces. Especially Jiang Xingyang, his eyes were filled with disbelief. The Longevity Sword is actually protecting this brat. How is that possible? The young man smiled faintly. "Master Jiang, if you don't believe me, you can take a look at this golden token." Jiang Xingyang's expression flickered a few times. Subsequently, he glared at Yi Chen fiercely and left after saying that, "There's no need to look at it." From the beginning to the end, Luo Shuiyao and the rest were confused. Initially, Jiang Xingyang was going to attack Yi Chen. However, a longevity sword appeared out of nowhere. Who exactly was this longevity sword? He could actually make Jiang Xingyang obey his orders without daring to complain. The young man looked at Yi Chen meaningfully. "Mad Southern Yi, the longevity sword asked me to send you a message on his behalf." Yi Chen said, "Go ahead." The longevity sword said that this is the last time he'll help you. From today onwards, no matter what realm you're at, he won't interfere anymore. "Help me for the last time?" Yi Chen frowned and asked, "May I know who the longevity sword is?" "You'll meet him one day, but you'd better pray that you don't." The young man was about to leave after saying that. Yi Chen's frown deepened. He vaguely guessed that the longevity sword seemed to know him. The two of them had interacted before, but he had no idea who it was. His eyes flickered a few times as he watched the young man leave. In the end, he did not continue to dwell on it. Instead, he turned around and walked towards Niu Qingshan, removing the seal on him. Niu Qingshan looked at him with a complicated expression. He seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he sighed. He had never been as excited as he was today in his life. Yan Nanfei carried the unconscious Dai Tinglu and walked over. He said in a deep voice, "Mr. Yi, old Dai's injuries are quite serious." Yi Chen glanced at Dai Tinglu and realized that the organs in his body were almost shattered. Fortunately, his internal energy was strong enough. Otherwise, he might not have been able to hold on until now. Chapter 683. Don't worry. He won't die. After Yi Chen took out a medicinal pill for him to consume, Dai Tinglu's injuries showed signs of recovery. The moment he saw the medicinal pill, a hint of shock flashed through Li Xuanji's eyes, and he said, "Little friend Yi, can we discuss it in detail?" Niu Qingshan sized up the scene. "Why don't we go to my Dragon Soul headquarters to talk?" "Alright." Yi Chen nodded lightly and was about to follow Niu Qingshan back to the Dragon Soul Sect's headquarters. Meanwhile, he acted like he did not see Su Yue and Ouyang Qing, who were next to him. "Wait." At that moment, a weak voice sounded. Yi Chen turned around and saw Su Yue looking at him quietly while biting her lip. A few seconds later, she said, "Do you hate me?" Her mood was the most complicated. If the scene of the Su family being destroyed became her nightmare, then what happened tonight would be an unforgettable nightmare for the rest of her life. It was because she had witnessed Yi Chen's massacre with her own eyes. Even her boyfriend, Lin Han, had died under Yi Chen's sword. Most importantly, she was not as upset about Lin Han's death as she had imagined. Instead, she recalled what she had done to Yi Chen earlier. She could not help but feel that she was a clown. A clown who didn't even have the qualifications to be laughed at by others. You don't have the right to make me hate you. Yi Chen chuckled when he heard that. He then followed Niu Qingshan and the rest. From the beginning to the end, he did not look at Su Yuwei. There was no emotion in his eyes at all. Plop, looking at his resolute back, Su Yuwei's legs softened and she fell to the ground. She covered her mouth and cried incessantly. I don't have the right to make him hate me. So this was the position I held in her heart. Let's go. Luo Shuiyao looked at her pitifully. Subsequently, she led Tang Jianfeng and Lu Qing to chase after Yi Chen. Ouyang Qing stood at the side and watched silently. It could be said that apart from Luo Shuiyao and the rest, she was the only person from Shang Santian who had survived. She had a close relationship with the dead Du Ming. The reason why she survived? It was because she had the mentality of a spectator from the beginning to the end. Although she might have looked down on Yi Chen, she had never verbally attacked him or attacked him. It was both a blessing and a curse. She had come out with Du Ming. Now that Du Ming was dead, the Du family would definitely not let her off. The other families would not let her off either. After a while, she walked over and helped Su Yuwei up from the ground. Don't cry. I'm the same as you. I also misjudged. If I want to prove myself to her, I'll need to make myself stronger. Otherwise, I'll still be worthless in her eyes. Su Yuwei slowly looked up at her. Become stronger? Yes, become stronger. Ouyang Qing nodded and said, If you're willing, I can bring you to the upper three heavens. It's another world there. I'm willing. Su Yuwei wiped her tears and lifted her head to look in the direction where Yi Chen and the rest had left. Yi Chen, don't hate me. But I hate it. Not only did he destroy my Su family, he had even killed Lin Han, making me truly lose everything. You must live well, because I am looking forward to our next meeting. When the time comes, I will make you regret ignoring me today. Dragon Soul Headquarters. Yi Chen sat on the main seat and looked at the people before him calmly. Before him were Niu Qingshan, Dai Tinglu, Yan Nanfei, and the other masters on the heaven leaderboard. However, at that moment, everyone's eyes were on him. There were all sorts of emotions in their eyes. Even until now, they still could not believe that Yi Chen had killed Xiao Yang and the rest of the people from Shang Santian on his own. At that moment, Yi Chen flicked a medicinal pill into Niu Qingshan's hand. Old Niu, this medicinal pill can help you recover from your injuries. Subsequently, more medicinal pills automatically flew into the hands of the dozens of people present. Everyone, these are body-strengthening pills. They can help you train your bodies. After Duan Feng attacked him. In the end, the group of people before him chose not to tolerate it. Even though they knew that they were Huang Yu and Du Ming's match, they still chose to attack. Naturally, Yi Chen had to return the favor with this favor. Thank you, Supreme Yi. Thunderous voices of gratitude immediately rang out in the hall. Niu Qingshan sighed and looked at him with a complicated gaze. He said, Xiao Yang and the rest have all died in your hands. How do you plan to deal with Shang Santian? His question was what everyone was thinking. Although Xiao Yang and the rest were powerful, they were nothing compared to the ancient families of Shang Santian. Yi Chen killing them would bring Shang Santian's wrath upon him. It's fine. So be it. However, Yi Chen chuckled softly and said while shaking his head, Don't worry, everyone. I'm the only one who did this. I won't implicate anyone. What nonsense are you talking about? Dai Tinglu snorted coldly. What do you mean it's all one person's doing? Are you looking down on us? Everyone here is involved in today's matter. If Shang Santian really wants to take revenge, they'll have to step over our corpses first. That's right. What Supreme Yi did today is completely for the sake of the Chinese cultivation world. We swear to protect Supreme Yi's safety. Yan Nanfei stood up and cupped his fist. His leadership won everyone's approval. However, Yi Chen shook his head and said, I appreciate your kindness. However, you've seen the strength of Shang Santian. It's not that I'm looking down on you, but you're not strong enough. Advancing and retreating with me will only harm you. So, everyone, please return." Yi Chen stood up and walked out of the meeting room after saying that. Li Xuanji was already waiting outside, along with Luo Shuiyao and the rest. Yi Chen was a little surprised. "Ms. Luo, why aren't you guys going back yet?" "Go back? Go back where?" Luo Shuiyao glared at him and said angrily, "You've caused such a huge commotion this time. You've caused us trouble." Although Xiao Yang and the rest had died in Yi Chen's hands and they did not attack from the beginning to the end, others did not think so. Xiao Yang and the rest were dead. Why were they still alive? Could it be that they colluded with Yi Chen to kill Xiao Yang and the rest? Such a thought appeared in the minds of the ancient families of Shang Santian without any suspense. Even a trace of suspicion was enough to make them fall into an abyss. "You can just say that I was the one who killed them." Yi Chen smiled and walked into the secret chamber that Niu Qingshan had prepared earlier with Li Xuanji. This secret chamber was usually used to interrogate criminals. No outsiders could hear it. Niu Qingshan had already arrived at the secret chamber. After the door of the secret chamber was closed, the group sat down. The group sat down one after another. Yi Chen glanced at Li Xuanji and asked first, "Elder Priestly, I'd like to know who this longevity sword is." Chapter 684. As soon as he finished speaking, even Niu Qingshan could not help but look at Li Xuanji. Although he was the Dragon King of the Dragon Soul, he only knew that there was the Celestial Master Hall above him. However, the details about the Celestial Master Hall were top secret. Speaking of the longevity sword, I still need to introduce the secret bureau to the two of you. Meeting their gazes, Li Xuanji sighed softly. Back then, the great ancestor felt the astonishing power of cultivators. He was worried that the cultivators' rebellion would affect the internal peace. In addition, he was afraid of the existence of Shang Santian, so he secretly set up a mysterious department. This department is the Secret Bureau. Yi Chen and Niu Qingshan were surprised to hear that. They did not expect the Secret Bureau to be created by the great ancestor. Li Xuanji said slowly, "When the Secret Bureau was first established, there were only a few people. However, these people were the most powerful people in China. They all came from the imperial palace of the Qing dynasty. The saying that the experts are among the common people is actually a fallacy. You should know that any ancient imperial court would be in charge of the gangs and sects in the pugilistic world, and the imperial palace would collect the best cultivation books and resources in the world." Niu Qingshan nodded secretly when he heard that. Since ancient times, the imperial court had always paid attention to civil and martial arts. Scholars were scholars, and most of them came from aristocratic families. On the other hand, martial arts were more widespread, and there was almost no distinction between nobles and commoners. Li Xuanji continued, "During the Qing dynasty, there were 6 powerhouses in the world. The first was the eunuch in charge of the rights department, Li Desan. The second was the commander of the imperial guards, Chen Longxiang. The third was the imperial astronomer, Yu Guanxing. The fourth was the commander of the imperial guards, Ma Changgong." At this point, he paused for a moment and said slowly, "The 4 of them were all from the Qing dynasty. At that time, they were already peak martial Dao masters. They could injure people with just a flying flower or a leaf, and they could kill people within 100 meters with just a breath." Yi Chen's expression froze when he heard that. "The 5th is Jiang Xingyang from before. He's not from the imperial court, but he lives in seclusion in the mountains. He's been cultivating metaphysics and can be considered a spell master. And the 6th place is this humble Taoist." Li Xuanji flicked his horsetail whisk, his expression calm. After the Qing court was destroyed, the first 4 experts went their separate ways. 2 of them went to Shang Santian, while the remaining 2, me and Jiang Xingyang were invited by the great ancestor to become the guardians of the secret bureau. Yi Chen asked, "Is Longevity's sword one of the four of you?" "Not bad." Li Xuanji nodded slightly and said, "Although the four of us are all guardian consecrators of the secret bureau, we rarely interact with each other. Therefore, I'm not sure which of the other three the longevity sword is." Later on, the country gradually stabilized, and the number of cultivators increased rapidly. The four of us couldn't take care of all of them, so we founded the Heavenly Palace, hoping to let the Heavenly Palace manage it on our behalf. He glanced at Niu Qingshan. We were also worried that the Heavenly Palace would be too powerful and we would not be able to control it. Thus, we created the Dragon Soul in an attempt to restrain the Heavenly Palace and form a balanced situation. Niu Qingshan was shocked and muttered, "So this is the origin of the Dragon Soul and the Heavenly Palace. No wonder the Dragon Soul and the Heavenly Palace have never been on good terms. No wonder the Dragon King and the Heavenly Palace's Palace Master fought each other." Yi Chen gradually came to a realization. To put it bluntly, the Heavenly Palace and the Dragon Soul are equivalent to the Ming Dynasty's West Faction and East Faction? You can understand it that way. Li Xuanji nodded slightly and said, "All these years, the four of us have never interfered with the grudge between the Dragon Soul and the Heavenly Palace. It's only because you defeated Guan Shanyue this time that the balance was broken that I had no choice but to show myself." "There's something I don't understand." Yi Chen frowned and said, "Why did Jiang Xingyang protect Guan Shanyue? I don't understand why you guys ignored Guan Shanyue blatantly coming into contact with Shang Santian?" Li Xuanji let out a long sigh. Because the previous palace master of the Heavenly Palace was Jiang Xingyang's disciple. "Do you understand what I mean?" Yi Chen smiled in disdain when he heard that. Because the previous palace master of the Heavenly Palace was Jiang Xingyang, the disciple of the Secret Bureau's guardian, Jiang Xingyang sided with the Heavenly Palace. That was why he showed up to stop Yi Chen. As for why we watched the Heavenly Palace come into contact with Shang Santian, a trace of helplessness appeared on Li Xuanji's old face. It's because after so many years, the four of us are no longer together. Someone is close to Shang Santian, and both sides have their own opinions. Since the four of you have equal status, why would Jiang Xingyang listen to the Longevity Sword's orders? Yi Chen still had many doubts. "It's very simple," Li Xuanji said calmly, "because the Longevity Sword is the strongest among the four of us. As the saying goes, the Longevity Sword cuts through longevity. After so many years, countless powerhouses have died under the Longevity Sword." Yi Chen was deep in thought. Among the four guardians of the Secret Bureau, he had met Li Xuanji and Jiang Xingyang before. That meant that the Longevity Sword was among the other two. Moreover, the Longevity Sword had come into contact with him before. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not remember such a person. At that moment, Li Xuanji seemed to have thought of something. He looked at Yi Chen and said, "What's your current level?" Niu Qingshan looked at Yi Chen immediately. The two of them were curious about Yi Chen because there was no true energy fluctuation on Yi Chen at all. Even when he was fighting Xiao Yang and the rest, the energy fluctuation on his body was neither like that of an ancient martial artist nor a spell master. It was very puzzling. Yi Chen smiled lightly. "You can take it that my cultivation base is equivalent to a peak martial venerable." As soon as he said that, Li Xuanji and Niu Qingshan's pupils constricted. As expected of the person with the highest talent in China in the past 100 years. Li Xuanji sighed faintly, "Your strength is on par with mine. Since you have such cultivation base at such a young age, it's not impossible for you to become an emperor in the future." "What emperor?" "Elder priestly, is the emperor stage below martial venerable?" Niu Qingshan was instantly interested. Li Xuanji said slowly, "For ancient martial artists, the martial emperor is above martial venerable. For spell masters, The divine power is above origin energy. However, it's too ethereal. Ever since the development of the Chinese cultivation world, no one has ever become an emperor, nor has anyone stepped into the divine power. Niu Qingshan said subconsciously, "May I ask if there are any martial emperors in Shang Santian?" "Yes." Li Xuanji took a deep breath in and said with certainty, "Someone in Shang Santian has become an emperor, but you don't have to worry. An emperor is not allowed to enter the secular world. This is an iron law. Otherwise, all the countries in the world will join forces to punish them." He said seriously, "Remember, never underestimate the power of a country. No matter how powerful a martial emperor is, he's still a human. A human's power is still insignificant in front of a country." He looked at Yi Chen as he said that, although martial emperors can't enter the world, you can't be careless. Shang Santian has existed for a long time, and its foundation is terrifying. Xiao Yang and the rest who died in your hands are nothing. The true powerhouses have yet to make a move. Fortunately, Shang Santian entered the world for the ghost ship. Otherwise, even the secret bureau wouldn't be able to withstand the wrath of Shang Santian. The word ghost ship made Yi Chen's heart skip a beat. He could not help but ask, "Elder Priestly, why did Shang Santian go through so much trouble for the ghost ship? Could it be that they really want to seek immortality?" "No." Li Xuanji shook his head slightly. "It's said that the ghost ship can lead to the three great immortal mountains. There are divine methods and all sorts of natural treasures on the immortal mountains. That's why Shang Santian is scrambling for it." After saying that, he took out a piece of sheepskin from his body. There was a sea of clouds on it, and there was a small tree at the top of the sea of clouds. There was a golden fruit on the tree that looked like an apricot. This is a map that our secret bureau found at the place where the ghost ship passed by. The fruit on it is called the vermilion fruit. Li Xuanji pointed at the golden fruit and said, "It's said that a normal person can increase their lifespan by 10 years if they take a whiff of its fragrance. After a mortal eats it, they can instantly open up the meridians in their body and enter the innate stage." What he did not notice was that Yi Chen, who was initially calm, had a change of expression when he saw the golden fruit. Earth immortal fruit. It was actually an earth immortal fruit. P.S. The third chapter is to wish everyone a happy Mid-Autumn festival and reunion in advance. There will be 2 more chapters tomorrow night, which is 5 chapters in total. Chapter 685. Li Xuanji pointed at the fruit on the sheepskin and spoke confidently. Yi Chen stared at the fruit calmly, but there was an uncontrollable ripple in his heart. The fruit tree grew at the peak of the Sea of Clouds. It was said to be a sea of clouds, but it was actually a visual effect produced by the extremely dense spiritual fog. The fruit was shining with golden light. It was only the size of an apricot, but Yi Chen could clearly see the veins on it. This was not the vermilion fruit that Li Xuanji mentioned. It was an earth immortal fruit. An earth immortal fruit with an earth spiritual root. When the word earth immortal was mentioned, one would think of the ancestor of the earth immortals in Journey to the West, Zhen Yuanzi. There was a ginseng fruit tree in Zhen Yuanzi's 5 villages temple. This fruit was also known as Chao Huandan. It blooms every 3,000 years and bears fruit every 3,000 years. It takes another 3,000 years for it to ripen, and it can only be eaten in a short 10,000 years. This tree is an earth spiritual root, and the fruit it bears is a rare item. If one is fated to get that fruit and smell it, they can live for 360 years. If they eat one, they can live for 47,000 years. The earth immortal fruit and the ginseng fruit were quite similar. However, the difference was that the earth immortal fruit only bloomed once in 100 years and bore fruit once in 100 years. It would take another 100 years for it to ripen, and it would take 300 years before it could be eaten. The earth immortal fruit did not have the effect of prolonging one's lifespan. However, it could be used to refine the chaotic repair pill. The heaven-defying effect of the chaotic repair pill was that it could help a mortal without a spiritual root possess a spiritual root, and then embark on the path of cultivation. Although the chaotic repair pill was not an immortal pill, it was only a spiritual pill. However, it was extremely difficult to refine because the main ingredient for refining the chaotic repair pill, the earth immortal fruit, was too difficult to find. Even when Yi Chen was in the cultivation world, he had only discovered it in a dangerous place. At that time, many cultivators fought over the two earth immortal fruit. Although the earth immortal fruit was useless to cultivators, it was no different from an immortal pill to the descendants of cultivators. After all, even the descendants of cultivators could not guarantee that they would have a spiritual root. What shocked him was that he could see the earth immortal fruit on Li Xuanji's sheepskin scroll, and Li Xuanji even treated it as a vermilion fruit. I was worried that my parents didn't have spiritual roots and wouldn't be able to step onto the path of cultivation. After 100 years, my parents would eventually enter the cycle of reincarnation. Yi Chen suppressed the excitement within him and thought to himself, if I can get the earth immortal fruit on the sheepskin scroll and refine the qi-mending pill, won't my parents have a spiritual root? Seeing that he did not speak for a long time, Li Xuanji could not help but ask, little friend Yi, could it be that you're also interested in the vermilion fruit? Anyone would be interested in such a heavenly treasure. Yi Chen smiled without denying it. He did not expose his foolish idea. Instead, he asked, Elder Priestly, where did you get this sheepskin scroll from? Wu River, Li Xuanji said seriously. The Wu River is where the ghost ship appears every time. Every time the ghost ship appears, some strange things will appear in the river. I once sent people to secretly salvage them. Then, he took out a light green jade pendant from his body and said, and this jade pendant, it actually contains mana fluctuations. Magic tool? Yi Chen stretched his arm out and held it in his hand to take a closer look. He said in deep thought, it's a pity that there's not much magic power left in it. I'm sure this magic tool has existed for a long time. That's right. Li Xuanji nodded slightly and said, yes, it is. Niu Qingshan asked, Elder Priestly, in other words, the rumor that the ghost ship leads to the netherworld and can revive the dead is fake? Of course it's fake. Li Xuanji sighed softly. Even if the mainstream theory is that the ghost ship can lead to the three immortal mountains, there's no basis for it. After all, the immortal mountains only exist in legends. It's too illusory. Are there many people who step onto the ghost ship every time? Yi Chen frowned. He did not care about the ghost ship. He only cared about the earth immortal fruit on the sheepskin scroll. Since it was drawn, it definitely existed. Things in this world could not be so coincidental. As for who drew the pattern on the sheepskin scroll, it was not worth his consideration. Many. Li Xuanji said in a deep voice, the ghost ship appears once every 20 years. Whether it's in Shang Santian or the secular world, people will flock to it like a flock of duck. Some of them are adventurous, some want to uncover the secrets, and some want to find out if the people who disappeared with the ghost ship are dead or alive. At this point, he shook his head and said, if I count carefully, in less than 10 days, the ghost ship that appears once every 20 years will appear again. I wonder how many people will die this time. Less than 10 days? Yi Chen's expression froze when he heard that. This time, he was slightly interested in the ghost ship. Fellow Yi, do you want to board the ghost ship too? Li Xuanji's expression changed slightly when he saw his expression. I advise you to give up on this idea as soon as possible. The danger of the ghost ship is beyond your imagination. Even someone as talented as Jiang Yuheng was unable to walk out of the ghost ship. That's right, Yi, don't forget that you still have family. Niu Qingshan said, although the ghost ship is dangerous, the human heart is even more vicious. If you kill Xiao Yang and the rest, you'll definitely come into contact with the people of Shang Santian on the ghost ship. By then, you'll become a target for everyone. He added at the end of his sentence, "Most importantly, not just anyone can board the ghost ship. You need the Netherworld token to be able to do so." Netherworld token? Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat when he heard that. Didn't he happen to have a Netherworld token in his storage ring? Moreover, he had obtained it from Xiao Bai's fake tomb when he went to the Tang family's ancestral tomb in Hong Kong? "I know what to do. Thank you." Yi Chen smiled lightly and left after chatting with the two of them for a while. Even though the Dragon Soul had intentionally sealed off the news about the Yang City International Hotel, the news still spread, causing a huge uproar. He had beaten up the Heavenly Palace's Palace Master Guan Shanyue, crippled Duan Feng of Shang Santian, killed Huang Kuan with a single punch, killed Bai Xian with a raise of his hand, and killed Xiao Yang and 4 other martial venerables with a single strike of his sword. He even forced the Guardian of China, Jiang Xingyang, to stop him. However, Yi Chen still killed Guan Shanyue right in front of Jiang Xingyang. Such a battle record could be said to be shocking and unprecedented. One had to know that to all the cultivators in the secular world, Shang Santian was like an undefeatable mountain. Even after Xiao Yang and the rest entered the world, all the people on the Heaven leaderboard in China were defeated by them. It could be said that before this, the Chinese cultivation world was in a low state. Even though Shang Santian was domineering in various parts of China, no one dared to resist them. No one dared to say no. Some even took the initiative to submit to Shang Santian. However, Yi Chen did what they could not do. He did what they dared not imagine. How could it not shock the Chinese cultivation world? Chapter 686. Therefore, when the news about Yi Chen at the Yang City International Hotel spread, it was like a bolt of lightning that shook heaven and earth, shocking the world. He killed 4 martial venerables with a single strike. Oh my God! Many Chinese cultivators were stunned, and they subconsciously sucked in a breath of cold air. Some of the cultivation sects were completely dumbfounded when they heard this. That's a martial venerable. I can't believe it. Martial venerable stage. To the Chinese cultivation world, it was an unreachable existence. One had to know that even on the Heaven leaderboard, which represented the strongest combat power in China, no one had become a martial venerable. While many people were shocked, they could not help but ask curiously, how can Mad Southern Yi be so powerful? What's his true cultivation base? Good kill, good kill. The heavens really have eyes. Shang Santian treats the secular world like ant. They deserve this. It's best if Mad Southern Yi directly kills his way into Shang Santian and annihilates all of you. More people laughed loudly and shed tears of shame. They were extremely carefree. There was no lack of friends or relatives who had died in the hands of Shang Santian. After Shang Santian entered the world, they had been too overbearing. Previously, they might have remained silent because no one stood up to object. Now that Yi Chen's battle results had spread, how could they hold back the hatred in their hearts? Don't celebrate too early. Some people praised, while others disdained. Mad Southern Yi only killed the younger generation of Shang Santian. Putting aside the terror of the older generation, just the geniuses of the younger generation, like Bai Xiaoyu and Xiao Yuanjing, are beyond your imagination. That's right. Some of the forces that had submitted to Xiao Yang and the rest in advance sneered. The previous Dragon Soul Master, Dragon King Jiang Yuheng, was also like Mad Southern Yi. His combat power was unparalleled, and he was overflowing with talent. But what happened in the end? He's still dead. While the outside world was shocked by Yi Chen's battle result, a cold wind rustled by the Wu River. 2 extremely tall figures stood by the river. An old man knelt on one knee in front of them, his face filled with fear and uneasiness. After a while, under the cold moonlight, a young man with long hair in black clothes smiled slowly. Xiao Yang and the rest were all killed by Mad Southern Yi. Including my sister Bai Xian? The other young man exuded a dangerous aura when he heard that. How dare he, Mad Southern Yi, Kill people from my Bai family one after another. It seems like I've let him live for too long." With that, he turned to leave. Wait. However, the young man from before did not mind. He said with a faint smile, "Xiao Yu, don't forget the purpose of Shang Santian's entry into the world this time." As he spoke, he walked to the riverside and grabbed at the air. A handful of river water condensed in his hand. The river water was bone-chilling, and it faintly emitted traces of vile energy. There's more and more vile energy in the water. It means that the ghost ship is about to appear. The youth surnamed Bai sneered, "So what? It's just a mere mad southern Yi. I'll rush to Tianan overnight and take his head to restore the dignity of Shang Santian." The young man in black smiled noncommittally. "What if I tell you that mad southern Yi also has a netherworld token?" Hearing this, the pupils of the youth surnamed Bai shrank slightly. The netherworld token. He could not be more familiar with it. After the ghost ship appeared, only those with the netherworld token could be guided by the ghost ship. Only then could they safely step onto the ghost ship. If one did not have the netherworld token and forcefully boarded the ship, they would only be cursed by the ghost ship and die on the spot. A few seconds later, the youth surnamed Bai retracted his killing intent and said in a deep voice, "How did you know that mad southern Yi has the netherworld token?" "Xiao Bai." The young man in black spat out 3 words slowly, and then he said, "I recently found out that after that old thing died back then, he gave the sea token in the netherworld token to Xiao Bai. That old fellow Xiao Bai is also cunning. He was worried that he would be suppressed by Shang Santian, so he actually used a deceptive technique to fake his death." At this point, his eyes were filled with playfulness. Mad southern Yi went to the Tang family in Hong Kong some time ago. He even opened Xiao Bai's tomb and obtained the netherworld token. "So, you're saying that since we know that mad southern Yi has the netherworld token, then the Luo family, Tang family, and Ying family must know about it too?" The youth surnamed Bai came to a realization. If we kill mad southern Yi now, the other ancient families will definitely think that we're going to fight them for the netherworld token and then stand on mad southern Yi's side to resist us. "That's right." A hint of admiration flashed across the young man's eyes as he said, "The ghost ship is the most important thing. Why don't we let mad southern Yi live for a few more days? As the saying goes, an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. Perhaps the other ancient families might help us get rid of mad southern Yi." At the end of his sentence, he muttered, "Moreover, I heard that that lunatic from the Luo family is coming soon. He's really haunting us." The youth surnamed Bai's expression changed slightly when he heard that. This lunatic was defeated by Yi Wushuang earlier. Why wasn't he killed with a single strike? That night, Yi Chen returned to the Yi residence in Tianan. His parents, Meng Meng and Qianqian, had already fallen asleep. Only Su Yuhan was sitting on the sofa, knitting a sweater with a ball in her hand while watching television. Meanwhile, Yang Tian and Lin Tai had been secretly protecting the entire Yi family villa. Yi Chen walked in after greeting them. Su Yuhan said angrily when she saw him return, "Xiao Chen, I was going to close the door if you didn't come back." Yi Chen lowered his head to take a look and realized that the ball in her hand was in a mess. He could not help but say with a smile, "What are you busy with?" "Knitting a sweater for my daughter." Su Yue subconsciously hid the things in her hand behind her and said embarrassedly, "Meng Meng has grown up, but she hasn't worn the clothes I made for her. I have nothing to do anyway. Put it aside for now. Come with me." Yi Chen extended his arm and held her hand as they walked out. Soon, the two of them arrived at Jiulong Lake. Su Yue shrunk her neck as if she could not stand the cold at night. "Xiao Chen, why did you bring me here so late at night? Aren't you going to cultivate?" Yi Chen smiled lightly and said, "I'll help you embark on the path of cultivation tonight. Moreover, this place has more spiritual energy." Su Yuhan was stunned. But I'm not ready yet?" With a thought from Yi Chen, A meditation cushion flew out of his storage ring and landed on the ground. Just sit down with your legs crossed. I'm here. Su Yuwei could not persuade him, so she could only sit down with her legs crossed. She said nervously, Xiaochen, I'm too stupid. You can't scold me. Yi Chen flicked his finger and 2 medicinal pills landed in his hand. Take these 2 medicinal pills and close your eyes. Hold your breath and focus. Chapter 687. She could only do as she was told and consume the medicinal pill. Yi Chen waved his hand, and many formation materials appeared in the air. He grabbed through the air, and a wisp of true fire appeared out of nowhere, melting all the formation materials. Soon, a spirit-gathering formation appeared around her. He formed a seal with both hands and sent out a seal towards the center of the 9 Dragons Lake. Let me borrow the spiritual energy of the 9 Dragons Lake. In an instant, the entire 9 Dragons Lake shook violently. A faint dragon roar rang out, as if a sleeping dragon had awakened. The mist around the 9 Dragons Lake quickly rushed towards the spirit-gathering formation and was absorbed by it. As the spirit-gathering formation operated, all of the mist was converted into pure spiritual energy that surged into her body. Yi Chen reminded immediately, Yuhan, activate your cultivation method now. She could only begin sensing the memories in her head. Although she had no cultivation experience and did not know how to turn it into a cultivation method before this, she had no idea how to do it. However, after the sorcerer god of the ghost witch cult, the hell demon, failed to possess her, all of his memories were absorbed and integrated by Su Yuhan. Therefore, she could do many cultivation things subconsciously. What she cultivated was the celestial maiden moon art. This was the supreme mental cultivation method of the ghost spirit sect where the Yama demons were. Only the sect masters of the past generations could cultivate it. It was very suitable for Su Yuhan. This cultivation method could even make people look young forever. Soon, there was a rhythm between her chest and her nostrils. Each time she breathed, she would absorb spiritual energy into her body. This meant that she had already sensed qi. Yi Chen dared not let his guard down at all. He had been guarding her. Over half an hour later, Su Yuhan opened her eyes all of a sudden. The aura on her body changed as well. She became a little ethereal with a faint sense of transcendence. Little Chen, I did it. Sensing the changes in her body, she was surprised. I've successfully cultivated to beginner stage spirit assembly. Noticing that something was wrong with Yi Chen's expression, she could not help but say weakly, Xiaochen, why do you look unhappy? Could it be that I'm too stupid and have been cultivating for too long? Yi Chen said with a grim expression, I'm happy. I'm so happy. At this moment, he felt that he had suffered a blow. Half an hour. She only used half an hour to get to beginner stage spirit assembly. Even the so-called rare geniuses of the sects in the cultivation world would need at least 4 hours to cultivate from a mortal to the early stage of spirit gathering. Lin Tai used a month back then. Yang Tian used half a month. Meanwhile, Yi Chen had used 10 days back then. It was evident that Su Yuhan's potential was terrifying. Is this the benefit of the mysterious Yin body? Yi Chen took a deep breath in when he saw the silly woman's expression. He was upset. Attack me now. All right, then I won't stand on ceremony. Su Yuhan nodded excitedly. A cunning gleam flashed through her beautiful eyes, then she took a few steps back and shouted, Take this! Boom! A fireball the size of a baby's fist flew toward Yi Chen. However, when the fireball was less than a step away from Yi Chen's eyes lit up. Then, it suddenly dispersed. Fireball spell. She can cast spells as soon as she starts cultivating? Yi Chen felt that he had suffered another blow. At this moment, a wind blade accompanied by the sound of the wind whistled over. Wind blade spell. Ice bullet spell. Earth wall spell. Su Yuhan performed more than 10 basic spells on Yi Chen consecutively. Although Yi Chen blocked all of them, it dealt a heavy blow to him. She said while panting, I'm not doing it anymore. I can't do anything to you every time. It's boring. Yi Chen finally felt better upon hearing that. He said in between tears and laughter, even if I give in to you, you can't do anything to me. It's normal. If you really want to find someone to practice with, look for Yang Tian later. With the strength of his physical body. So what if he was just cultivating spells? Su Yuhan lifted her fair neck and looked at him in anticipation. Xiaochen, what's my ability level now? You're on beginner stage spirit assembly now. Yi Chen said while smiling. It's equivalent to the illuminating pulse among ancient martial artists. Those below master level can't hurt you, or it's equivalent to the Dao entry among spell masters. Subsequently, he taught Su Yuhan many things. He only let her return to her room when her eyelids were fighting. He secretly shook his head. Her mentality is still not good enough. Although Su Yuhan possessed a certain level of ability now, her mentality had yet to change. Perhaps she knew that the path of cultivation was like sailing against the current. If she did not advance, she would fall behind. However, considering that Yi Chen was around, she did not really care. Yi Chen only walked to the herb field at the back of the villa after she fell asleep. He had set up a formation in the herb field earlier to prevent birds and beasts from eating it. Under the bright moonlight, there was something that looked like a fruit on a small tree that was half the height of a person. It was black and not round or oval. Instead, it was strip-shaped like a rolling pin. Yi Chen lowered his head and sized it up. It's been half a year. Are you still not mature? The thing in front of him was something he had picked up from a stall in the Jiulong antique city when he had just returned to Earth. However, since he had used the immortal drift bottle to make it mature and release the fragrance, which made his cultivation soar, it bore a fruit. Over the past half a year, he had not figured out what this fruit was. As time passed, he decided to just plant it in the herb field. With a flash of green light, a walnut-sized green item appeared in his hand. It was the item he had obtained from the ghost witch cult's ancestral court. At the same time, the immortal drift bottle in his body moved again. Yi Chen looked at the item in his hand and then at the black fruit before him. He frowned and said, "Could there be some connection between you guys?" Thinking to this point, he lifted his head to look at the full moon in the sky and placed the item in his hand on a piece of fertile soil. With a thought, a small dark green bottle appeared in his hand. The bottle was crystal clear like jade and about the size of a baby's palm. Its entire body was engraved with ancient birds, beasts, insects, and fish. It was the immortal drift bottle. Under the moonlight, the immortal drift bottle trembled slightly. Subsequently, it emitted a faint green glow. As soon as the green glow appeared, the surrounding plants grew wildly. Yi Chen pondered for a while. He picked up the immortal drift bottle and poured it gently on the green walnut-like object buried in the soil. A drop of green liquid dripped from the mouth of the bottle. As soon as the green liquid landed on the ground, it disappeared in the blink of an eye. It seemed to have been absorbed. Crack, crack, crack. Yi Chen stared at the soil under his feet while holding his breath. The soil shook a few times as if there were worms wriggling inside. A soft sound was heard. Something that looked like a tentacle slowly grew out of the soil. Chapter 688. It extended upwards, and the tentacles grew longer and longer. In the end, they grew to more than 3 feet tall. Countless tentacles extended again, and these tentacles turned into branches and leaves one after another. In less than a few breaths, it had turned into a small tree. The tree trunk was not as thick as the mouth of a bowl, but it was lush with leaves. Suddenly, a green flower bloomed from the tree. The flower grew larger and larger until it was the size of a fist. It was accompanied by a refreshing fragrance. It was here again. Yi Chen could not be more familiar with this scene. He did not hesitate and sat down with his legs crossed immediately. He circulated the Emperor's scripture and absorbed the fragrance crazily. The spiritual energy in his body began to circulate rapidly. His cultivation base rose rapidly. peak early stage foundation building, mid-stage foundation building, peak mid-stage foundation building. Only then did the skyrocketing trend stop. Yi Chen opened his eyes slowly. As expected, the fragrance is gone again. This scene was exactly the same as the last time. Even though he was mentally prepared, he could not help but feel a little disappointed. He couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. He raised his eyes and looked at the small plant. The green flower from before had already withered and was replaced by something that looked like a fruit. It was green and not round, nor was it oval. Instead, it was strip-shaped, a little like a rolling pin. The new fruit was exactly the same as the fruit on the other tree, except that one was black and the other was green. Yi Chen took a closer look. He picked up the immortal drift bottle again and dripped green liquid on the two fruits, hoping to see if there would be any changes this time. However, to his disappointment, even after the green liquid in the immortal drift bottle was completely dripped, the two fruits did not change at all other than their color becoming darker. In the room, Qianqian, who was already asleep, was emitting two cyclones from between her brows. One was black and the other was green. The two cyclones seemed to want to fuse with Qianqian's body, but there seemed to be a door preventing them from entering. Yi Chen had no idea what was happening to Qianqian because all his attention was on the two fruits before him. Should I pluck one of them and cut it open? Yi Chen was curious. Subsequently, he extended his hand toward the green fruit. Just when he was going to pluck it, just when he was about to pluck it, he suddenly looked outside the villa as if he had sensed something. Who is it? His expression was gloomy. He took a step forward and instantly disappeared. Outside the villa, a white silhouette was rushing towards the villa, accompanied by a strong smell of blood. If one looked closely, they would notice that it was a white-robed young man. The young man was covered in blood and had a sickly expression. He had a head full of white hair. Behind him, there were two terrifying auras. Shi Qianhan, where are you going? Hand over the netherworld token and I'll spare your life. Two extremely cold and sinister voices rang out. Bang! Just as the white-haired youth was about to rush into the Nine Dragons Bay, a loud noise suddenly rang out. It was as if he had hit an invisible wall. The huge rebound force sent him flying. At the same time, two old figures chased after him in the darkness. One of them stopped when he was less than 5 steps away from the white-clothed youth. He sneered, Shi Qianhan, you were seriously injured by our Shao clan's young master, yet you were still able to escape for 1,000 miles. I have to say, your life is really tough. Seriously injured by your young master? The white-haired youth smirked coldly. If your Shao clan hadn't poisoned me, would a sinister person like Shao Yuanjing have been able to injure me? No matter what, you're definitely going to die today. An old man smiled sinisterly and then slapped him with his palm. When you die, the third netherworld token will belong to the Shao family. The white-haired youth subconsciously wanted to get up, but he realized that he could not muster any strength. His injuries had already worsened. His pale face couldn't help but flush red. Your Qianhan is here to meet you. However, just as the Shao clan elder's palm was about to land on the white-clothed youth, a calm voice rang out, Isn't it a little inappropriate to kill someone in front of my house? This sudden voice caused the two old men to be startled. Immediately, they looked around as if they were facing a great enemy. Who is it? In the next moment, a skinny young man slowly walked out from the entrance of Nine Dragons Bay with his hands behind his back. An old man said coldly, Brat, who are you? Yi Chen was expressionless as if he did not see what was happening before him. Didn't you guys ask around before fighting in front of my house? So it's just an ordinary person. The old man sensed the aura on his body and sneered. Even an ordinary person dares to spoil our plans. You're courting death. Die. He shouted and waved his hand. A terrifying true energy condensed in his palm. Suddenly, the palm print slapped at Yi Chen's head like a flood. To him, his palm could kill Yi Chen with a single slap. Yi Chen still had his hands behind his back when he faced the palm that covered the sky. He allowed the palm to land as if he did not see it. Just as the palm print was about to land on him, he moved. A bright light flashed in his eyes, and a shocking aura erupted from his body. A golden fist force was like a faint golden bolt of lightning as it ruthlessly blasted at the palm print. Bang! The ferocious smile on the old man's face suddenly froze, and his eyes were replaced by deep fear. As he spat a mouthful of blood, the old man was sent flying on the spot. The other old man was startled. "Who exactly are you? Someone from the Xiao family?" A cold smirk slowly appeared at the corner of Yi Chen's lips. "Didn't you guys ask about me after I killed Xiaoyang? Instead, you guys came to me for me to kill?" The man was stunned at first, but then he seemed to have thought of something. He gasped and exclaimed, "Why, you're mad, Southern Yi?" He turned around and ran without saying a word after saying that. He did not show any signs of fighting Yi Chen at all. He did not even care about the old man who was sent flying by Yi Chen's punch earlier. "Since you're here, leave your life behind." Yi Chen took a step forward and slapped at the same time. It was like a cattail leaf fan that streaked across the space and landed on the man on the spot. Rumble, with a loud bang, the other party's body exploded. The old man who was sent flying by Yi Chen's punch earlier shuddered when he saw that and said, "Mad Southern Yi, why you dare to kill me?" He was not done yet. An energy pierced through the air and pierced through his skull. Yi Chen turned around to look at the white-haired young man behind him. His cold expression gradually softened. "Sure, Qianhan, you've finally come to fulfill the 1-month promise with me. Thank you." Sure Qianhan looked at him weakly and tried his best to open his mouth. After spitting a mouthful of black blood, he fainted on the spot. P.S. Chapter 4. I'm busy during the holidays. I'm afraid I won't be able to finish the last chapter. I'll owe it to you for now. Thank you for your support. Chapter 689. Late at night, Yi family villa. Shi Qianhan slowly woke up from his coma. Before he could regain consciousness, a faint voice sounded in his ears. "You're awake?" Only then did he see that he was lying on the bed. A skinny young man was sitting at the entrance. He held a bottle of Maotai in his hand and a glass in his hand. He seemed to be drinking alone. "I didn't die?" Shi Qianhan's expression was complicated. He seemed to be regretful and disappointed. "With me here, it's difficult even if you want to die." Yi Chen drank a glass of wine and waved it through the air. The bottle of Maotai in front of him and the glass shot at Shi Qianhan. "Drink? All right." Shi Qianhan poured himself a cup and drank it in one gulp. A trace of gentleness appeared on his cold and weathered face. "Brother Yi, thank you for saving my life." He had long felt that most of the injuries in his body had recovered. Even the poison that the Xiao family had given him had been completely removed. At the same time, it gave him a deeper understanding of Yi Chen's technique. One must know that only the Xiao clan had the antidote for the poison that the Xiao clan used. Yi Chen nodded lightly and said, "When we parted ways that day, a month was almost up. I thought I was dead. I didn't expect to be here as promised." Previously, Yi Chen went to Korea alone to look for Qianqian. In the end, he met Shi Qianhan on the sea. Shi Qianhan was chased by the Xiao family and learned from them that the 10,000 Swords Pavilion had been destroyed. In order to save his junior sister, he killed his way into Shang Santian resolutely. Before he left, he set a 1-month deadline with Yi Chen. He asked Yi Chen to take care of Qianqian on his behalf and promised to return a month later. "Dead?" Shi Qianhan's eyes flashed with sadness. "Yu is dead, master and junior brother are dead, and junior sister is in prison. Death is an extremely extravagant thing for me." Yi Chen frowned. "You still haven't rescued junior sister?" "No." Shi Qianhan drank another cup of wine. Perhaps because he drank too much, he coughed repeatedly. "It's Qianhan's incompetence. Qianhan killed his way into the Xiao clan, causing the Shao clan's martial emperor to break out of seclusion. With just a palm strike, he severely injured Qianhan. After that, he was poisoned and could only flee 1,000 miles away. Martial monarch? Yi Chen's expression froze when he heard that. Li Xuanji was right. There really were emperor stage powerhouses in Shang Santian. He knew Shi Qianhan's strength. He had been severely injured by a martial monarch. If he met a martial monarch, the outcome was still unknown. After all, his current comprehensive combat strength was at most a peak martial venerable. Yi Chen said, "What do you plan to do now?" "Qianhan wants to board the ghost ship." Shi Qianhan raised his head to look at the sky, his eyes filled with determination. "Qianhan's strength is limited, so I can only watch helplessly as junior sister is imprisoned for the time being. I only want to step onto the ghost ship to see you one last time. After my Dao heart is perfected, I will definitely become an emperor. At that time, I will kill my way into Shang Santian and destroy the Shao clan." After saying that, he drank another cup of wine with a slightly dazed expression. "This wine is good, but it's a pity that it can't compare to you Er's 100 Flowers wine. It's fine even if I don't drink it." The bottle and the glass returned to Yi Chen. Yi Chen poured himself a glass and lifted his eyes to look at him. "How's the information that I asked you to find out before you left that day?" Right now, he was most concerned about Wushuang's whereabouts. Life or death? Yi Wushuang? Shi Qianhan's eyes focused. He took a good look at Yi Chen and said, "Brother Yi, may I ask what's his relationship with you?" Yi Chen said, "He's my brother." No wonder they're both surnamed Yi. Shi Qianhan's pupils constricted slightly, and then he said, "There are 10 ancient clans, 3 sects, and 4 groups in Shang Santian. Meanwhile, the sword sect's 9th peak, Humble Peak, has produced a sword Dao genius in the past 2 months. He's only 18 years old, but he has already attained the sword heart." Yi Chen was overjoyed. It was Wushuang. He was indeed alive. No one could understand what he was feeling right now. However, what puzzled him was that Wushuang was taken away by an old beggar who claimed to be from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. How did he appear in the sword sect? After he asked this question, Lin Fan's eyes widened. "You're saying that the person who took Yi Wushuang away was an old beggar on a donkey?" Shi Qianhan's expression changed slightly, and then he said, "That's my grandmaster, and he's also the previous pavilion master of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion. However, my grandmaster has always liked to play around in the world, and he's always appeared unkempt. Therefore, even I've only seen him once. However, I've been banished from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion a long time ago, so I don't know that Grandmaster has brought Yi Wushuang back to the 10,000 Swords Pavilion." At this point, he revealed a pained expression. "Grandmaster is righteous. When the 10,000 Swords Pavilion was facing a calamity, the Shao clan's martial emperor took action. Grandmaster, a pseudo-emperor, risked his life to protect the last shred of dignity of the 10,000 Swords Pavilion." Pseudo-emperor. Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat. He did not expect the old beggar who took Wushuang away to be a pseudo-emperor. As for how Yi Wushuang survived the Shao clan and entered the sword sect, I don't know. Shi Qianhan took a deep breath in and said, "The sword sect has a total of 9 peaks. The first peak is the strongest, and the 9th peak, Humble Peak, has long since declined. However, in the past 2 months, Yi Wushuang has appeared in the Humble Peak. It was this genius disciple who defeated the genius disciples of the 7 peaks consecutively. Only Su Qilin from the first peak, the Heavenly Sword Peak, can contend against him." Wait, a thought flashed through Yi Chen's mind when he heard the name Su Qilin. He interrupted immediately. "Did you just say that the person from the first peak of the Sword Peak is called Su Qilin?" If he didn't remember wrongly, when he went to Yang City to bring Su Yuhan back, although he had completely destroyed the Su family, there was still one person whose whereabouts he had yet to find. That was the young master of the Su family, Su Qilin. This person was Su Yuhan's cousin and also Su Tao's biological brother. He had been taken away by a wandering Taoist since he was young and had never returned to the Su family. That's right, it's Su Qilin. Shi Qianhan seemed to be afraid as he said, "This person's talent is extraordinary." He was taken in as the direct disciple of the sword sect master when he was young. He cultivated the sword at the age of 10, comprehended the first sword intent at the age of 12, and comprehended the third sword intent at the age of 15. He suppressed the 7 peaks and firmly sat at the top of the sword sect's younger generation until now. Yi Chen secretly frowned when he heard that. Based on Shi Qianhan's information alone, he could not be sure if this Su Qilin was the Su family's Su Qilin. "Brother Yi," Shi Qianhan suddenly said, "although this brother has shone brilliantly in the sword sect, he's still a member of the humble peak. It's said that after the previous peak master passed away, the humble peak has been lonely for decades. It's impossible for him to be a match for the first peak. This brother's future is worrying." "Don't worry." Yi Chen's expression was slightly cold. A terrifying killing intent slowly emerged. "If the sword sect bullies my brother, I'll destroy the sword sect." Shi Qianhan smiled and stood up. "It's time for me to leave. It's not good for Brother Yi to stay any longer. I owe Brother Yi my life. After I fulfill my wish, Brother Yi can take my life at any time." With that, he turned around and left under the cover of the night. There was no hesitation at all. As for Qianqian, he did not mention it because he knew that instead of letting Qianqian follow him, he might as well let her continue to follow Yi Chen. Yi Chen watched him leave quietly and mumbled, "Wu Shuang, wait for me. You must wait for me. I'll come and look for you after I'm done with what I'm doing. This time, I'll protect you." Chapter 690. The next morning, on 9 Dragons Lake outside the Yi family villa, a skinny young man stood on the surface of the lake with his hands behind his back. He looked at the waves on 9 Dragons Lake, and a thoughtful look flashed across his face. Although it was already winter and the temperature in Lin City had dropped to -10 degrees Celsius, most of the rivers had already frozen. However, 9 Dragons Bay was still a pool of flowing water. The willow trees around 9 Dragons Bay were lush and full of spiritual energy. Although the Great 9 Heavens Dragon Transformation Formation has a certain level of defense, it won't be able to withstand a Martial Venerable's attack without me around. Yi Chen secretly shook his head. A vertical eye gradually appeared between his brows. As the vertical eye opened, 4 blood-red shadows landed before him. They were the 4 demon blood guards that he had refined during his trip to Japan. If I integrate these 4 demon blood guards into the formation and act as the formation spirit, I can make up for the flaws of the Great 9 Heavens Dragon Transformation Formation. By then, all challengers will be attacked by the demon blood guards. Yi Chen rubbed his chin and thought. The strength of the 4 demon blood guards was comparable to a top-notch martial Dao master. Even if they faced ordinary martial venerables, they would not be outdone. With the help of the formation, they could even fight a top-notch martial venerable. Thinking to this point, a blood-colored token immediately appeared in his hand. At the same time, he sent a message to the 4 demon blood guards in front of him to hand over a trace of their souls. The 4 demon blood guards subconsciously showed signs of struggle. Although their intelligence had been erased, the most basic consciousness still existed, and they subconsciously wanted to resist. "Humph!" Yi Chen's expression turned grim and he scoffed coldly. 2 bolts of golden lightning shot out of his eyes. Under the golden lightning, the 4 demon blood guards begged for mercy. Only then did they separate a trace of their souls. 8 directions refining soul, condense. Yi Chen shouted and formed a seal with both hands. He fused the power of the 4 souls into the blood-colored token in his hand. It was the token to control the 4 demon blood guards. He could hand it over to Su Yuhan. He stood in the center of 9 Dragons Lake and performed a hand seal again. He stomped his foot, and the entire 9 Dragons Lake shook violently. At the next moment, a formation flag appeared at the bottom of each of the 4 corners of 9 Dragons Lake. The 4 formation flags floated in the air, faintly emitting dense spiritual energy. I will be conferred the South Formation Spirit, wielding the virtue of fire and carrying the power of the vermilion bird. Yi Chun pointed at one of the demon blood guards and shouted, "Southern Formation Spirit, what are you waiting for?" The demon blood guard turned into a red streak of light and shot into one of the flags, turning into a vermilion bird mark. I confer the title of the Northern Formation Spirit, wielding the water virtue and carrying the power of the black tortoise. Another blood demon guard shot into a formation flag. I will be conferred the title of Eastern Formation Spirit, with the power of the azure dragon in my hands. I shall be conferred the title of the Western Formation Spirit, wielding the power of the white tiger. In the end, the 4 demon blood guards shot into the 4 flags and turned into the vermilion bird, the black tortoise, the azure dragon, and the white tiger. Dual extremities of heaven and earth, ghost and god borrowing technique. A spirit brush landed in Yi Chen's hand. He waved the brush and wrote on the 4 formation flags, "The evil of the heavens, the ability to transform the earth, the illusory realm, the sword rises and walks in the underworld, the vermilion brush touches the altar, the yin and yang are born, the 4 divisions move, the ghosts, gods, and yikshaws are used by me, transform." At the next moment, the 4 formation flags shone with a bright red light. For ghost-like roars could be vaguely heard. Boom! The 4 formation flags landed in the 4 directions of Jilong Lake with a strong pressure. With a flash of light, they turned into 4 stone statues. They were the vermilion bird, the black tortoise, the azure dragon, and the white tiger. From today onwards, you will be the formation spirits of the great 9 heavens dragon transformation formation. Yi Chun stood with his hands behind his back. His aura was unparalleled, absorbing spiritual energy in the day and spitting out moonlight at night. As long as you protect the house wholeheartedly, you might be able to obtain the great Tao in the future. He heaved a sigh of relief. The great 9 heavens dragon transformation formation is considered perfect now. Even if I'm not here, those below the Emperor's stage won't be able to enter the Yi residence. If they enter without permission, they will definitely die. He returned to the villa after he was done with all of this. "Little monkey, don't run. If you keep running, I'll be bitten by Xiaohei." As soon as Yi Chen entered, he saw Meng Meng chasing after the monkey nonstop. She was holding a handful of dog food in her hand. "Eat the dog food." Cutie used to eat it too. He became so powerful later on. There was a small snake as thick as a chopstick circling around her shoulder. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The monkey landed on Yi Chen's shoulder with a whoosh. It bared its teeth at Meng Meng and jumped up and down as if it was saying, "I don't eat dog food. Daddy, catch the little monkey for me." The little girl ran over happily. The fur on the monkey's body stood on end as it squeaked nonstop. It was not afraid of the little girl, but it was afraid of Xiaohei on her. Yi Chen did not know whether to laugh or cry as he said, "My dear daughter, monkeys don't eat dog food. Go get a banana from the fridge and try it." "Banana?" The little girl immediately ran into the kitchen and soon brought a large plate of bananas. When the monkey saw it, it ran over without saying anything. It grabbed one and immediately returned to Yi Chen's shoulder. The little girl giggled and looked at it with her eyes wide open. "Daddy, does the little monkey have a name?" "No." The little girl's eyes lit up immediately. "Then can I give it a name? Let's call it Cutie?" Upon hearing that, the monkey felt its throat tighten. The banana that it had just swallowed was stuck in its throat, causing it to jump up and down anxiously. Yi Chen patted it lightly to get the stuck banana to fall off completely. Even so, the monkey still pointed at Meng Meng and bared its teeth, as if it was resisting the name Cutie. The little girl said dejectedly, "The little monkey doesn't seem to like this name." Yi Chen said in a deep voice, Why don't we call it Ghost Baby? The monkey was originally the god of the Hitamoto clan in Japan. It was also a weeping soul beast that specialized in eating spirit. After being injured by Yi Chen, its body mutated. It was only the size of a palm now, no different from a newborn monkey. It was perfect to call it Ghost Baby. The little girl clapped her hands happily. Ghost Baby? That sounds good. Just as they were talking, Yang Tian and Lin Tai walked in quickly and whispered into his ear, Old Yi, there's a woman with the surname Luo looking for you outside. A woman with the surname Luo? Yi Chen was stunned at first, then he came to a realization. He said to Meng Meng, My dear daughter, play with Ghost Baby here for a while. Daddy will go out for a while. After saying that, he stood up and walked out. On the shore of Nine Dragons Bay, Luo Shuiyao and Tang Jianfeng looked at the formation fluctuations in front of them in shock. Tang Jianfeng's face was slightly pale, and he looked rather miserable. He wanted to fly over Nine Dragons Lake earlier, but he was attacked by the formation. If he had not retreated in time, he would have been severely injured even if he did not die. What a powerful formation! A trace of shock flashed through Luo Shuiyao's beautiful eyes. This formation seems to have covered the entire Nine Dragons Lake. I didn't expect Yi Chen to know Formation Dao. Chapter 691. This formation is very powerful. Tang Jianfeng said with lingering fear. Ordinary martial venerables would definitely be killed if they entered. I didn't go too deep earlier, and I retreated in time. Right at this moment, a faint voice came from the other side of the lake. You too can come in now. Luo Shuiyao hesitated for a moment when she heard this voice. In the end, she took a step forward and flew toward the lake. Tang Jianfeng followed closely behind. This time, neither of them was attacked by the formation. As soon as the two of them landed next to Yi Chen, Luo Shuiyao said angrily, Yi Chen, that's amazing. You actually set up such a terrifying formation. Yi Chen said with a faint smile, Why are you looking for me? Luo Shuiyao looked around a few times before fixing her gaze on him. I'm asking, do you have a netherworld token in your hand? Even Tang Jianfeng looked at him subconsciously. Yi Chen frowned and said, That's right. How did you know? Apart from him, only the Tang family knew about the netherworld token. The Xiao family spread the news. Tang Jianfeng said in a deep voice, They said that they also have a netherworld token, and it's a netherworld token with the word C. We thought that the Xiao family spread the news on purpose to take revenge for killing Xiao Yang. I didn't expect it to be true. Yi Chen's eyes flickered. The Xiao family? How did they know that I have the netherworld token? Moreover, what's their purpose for doing this? Don't you know about the ghost ship? Luo Shuiyao looked at him in surprise and said, After the ghost ship appeared, if you want to board it, you must have the netherworld token in your hand. Only then can you accept the ghost ship's guidance. If you don't have the netherworld token and forcefully board the ship, you will be cursed by the ghost ship. At this point she paused for a moment and said, There are a total of 8 netherworld tokens, and each of them has a word written on it. The 8 of them add up to the words netherworld is orderly, and the yellow springs can be crossed. Now, my Luo clan and the Tang clan have 1, the Xiao clan has 1, and Shi Qianhan has 1. The other 7 ancient clans can only split 4 equally, so it's naturally not enough. Therefore, the Xiao family wants to divert the trouble to the ancient families who don't have the netherworld token to target them and then attack them. Yi Chen could not help but scoff when he heard that. So what? I've killed members of the Xiao clan, Bai clan, Huang clan, Duan clan, and Lin clan. I've already offended them long ago, so why should I care about 2 more enemies? It's not as simple as you think. Luo Shuiyao shook her head and said, You're not from Shang Santian, so you don't understand the situation in Shang Santian. Shang Santian is divided into 10 ancient clans, 3 sects and 4 groups. The 10 ancient clans all have their own interests and alliances. She frowned slightly. For example, the Shao clan, Bai clan, Huang clan, Duan clan, and Lin clan, the 5 great ancient clans are in an alliance of interest. On the other hand, the Luo clan, Tang clan, Xiang clan, Lu clan, and Tong clan are in another alliance of interest. Even if they offended the Bai clan, at least they did not offend the 5 great ancient clans led by the Luo clan. Yi Chun gradually understood what she meant when he heard that. So, the Shao family wants the other 2 ancient families apart from the Luo family, the Lu family and the Tang family, to fight me together. That's right. Luo Shuiyao nodded slightly. That's why I'm here this time, to ask you what you plan to do with the Netherworld token in your hand. Are you going to throw it away and choose to retreat, or are you going to hold it in your hand and board the ghost ship with us? Yi Chun stopped hiding his true purpose after pondering for a while. I'd like to try this so-called ghost ship too. The Earth Immortal Fruit was a treasure used to refine the chaotic repair pill. He was determined to get it. After all, his parents were almost 60 years old. Although they had taken many medicinal pills from him and their physiques were different from ordinary people, they could only live to 100 years old at most. The ghost ship only appeared once every 20 years. If he missed this opportunity, his parents would be 80 years old by the time it appeared again. They would only embark on the path of cultivation at the age of 80. They would be old and their memories would decline. It was almost impossible. Seeing that he really wanted to board the ghost ship, Luo Shuiyao glanced at Tang Jianfeng and revealed an expression as if she had expected it. Luo Shuiyao said slowly, "If you want to board the ghost ship, you need to gather 8 Netherworld tokens. Most of the people from Shang Santian have arrived. We're preparing to negotiate with the ghost ship. Do you want to participate?" She was afraid that Yi Chun would think too much at the end of her sentence, so she added, "Don't worry. The purpose of this negotiation is only the ghost ship. The Shao clan and the other ancient clans won't do anything. We won't sit back and do nothing." Yi Chun asked, "When?" Tang Jianfeng said, "Tomorrow afternoon at the same place. Yang City International Hotel?" Yi Chun squinted and said, "All right, I'll definitely go tomorrow." After Yi Chun returned to the villa, he told Lin Tai and Yang Tian about his decision to board the ghost ship. Both of them were shocked. Clearly they were shocked. Yang Tian objected without even thinking, "Old Yi, I don't agree. The ghost ship is too dangerous. After so many years, I wonder how many powerhouses have stayed on it forever." "That's right, my lord. What if something happens on the ghost ship? What about the Yi family? What about the madam and the rest?" Lin Tai said worriedly, "Don't forget that even if Shang Santian decides to join forces with us on the ghost ship for the sake of the Netherworld token, who knows if they'll join forces against us once we board the ghost ship." "Don't worry." Yi Chun shook his head lightly and said, "I'll arrange everything before I leave. I'll make sure nothing goes wrong. As for Shang Santian, who below the Emperor stage can hurt me?" Seeing that the two of them were about to say something, Yi Chun said seriously, "There's no need to persuade me anymore. I've already decided. Contact the Spiritual Medicine Mountain and Miaojiang. Try to send me more medicinal herbs. I'm going to refine pills in the next few days." Yang Tian and Lin Tai could only do as they were told. That night, Miaojiang and the Spiritual Medicine Mountain sent many medicinal herbs. Although some of the rare medicinal herbs were not mature enough, it was nothing to Yi Chun, who had the Immortal Drift Bottle. While the night was bright, he used the Immortal Drift Bottle to ripen many medicinal herbs to 300 years old. Subsequently, he refined many medicinal pills overnight. However, most of them were for Su Yuhan, Yang Tian, and the rest to increase their cultivation bases. Around 10 a.m. the next day, Yi Chun arrived at Yang City successfully. Luo Shuiyao and Tang Jianfeng, who had been waiting for a long time, called him into a Lamborghini Venom. Tang Jianfeng was in charge of driving. Yi Chun realized that the car was not heading towards Yang City. He frowned and asked, "Are we going somewhere else? Introduce a few people to me before we go to the hotel." Luo Shuiyao said with a smile. They are all from the ancient families led by my Luo family. For example, the Tong family, the Xiang family, and the Lu family that Lu Qing is from. Chapter 692. Tang Jianfeng's car drove very fast. Half an hour later, they arrived outside a villa in Yang City's third ring road. Yi Chun saw a person standing at the entrance of the villa hundreds of meters away. It was a young man in a purple robe, and his aura was surging. If anyone was present, they would realize that he was Yang Junlin, who was ranked number 1 on the Heaven leaderboard in China. He was known as the God of War of China. Before Yi Chen debuted, Yang Junlin had suppressed the Heaven leaderboard for 10 years. After Yi Chen debuted and became famous, he advanced to number 1 on the Heaven leaderboard. Yang Junlin was pushed to number 2 on the Heaven leaderboard. Since Yi Chen advanced to the World leaderboard, Yang Junlin naturally advanced to number 2. Yi Chen was a little surprised. Why is it him? As soon as the car stopped, Yang Junlin walked over and said with a smile, Junlin welcomes Ms. Luo, young Master Tang, and Mr. Yi to the Yang residence. Seemingly sensing Yi Chen's confusion, Luo Shuiyao explained while smiling, Yi Chen, I'm afraid you don't know yet. Yang Junlin is from the Tong family of Shang Santian. The Tong family is going to let him return to the Tong family this time. Therefore, the Tong family and the Xiang family are temporarily staying at the Yang residence. Yi Chen came to a realization after hearing that and smiled at Yang Junlin. Sister and the rest are already waiting inside. This way, please. Yang Junlin gestured for them to enter. Subsequently, he led Yi Chen and the other two into the Yang residence villa. The Yang residence was not big, but the villa was well equipped. There were pavilions and a training ground with many weapons. It was obvious that Yang Junlin was a rather traditional person. The Yang residence's living room was filled with about 10 people at the moment. They were all young men and women, and most of them were dressed in vintage clothes. As Yi Chen and the rest entered, the beautiful eyes of a lady in a purple dress lit up. The beautiful eyes of a woman in a purple dress, sitting at the head of the table, immediately lit up, and she rebuked, Yao Yao, if you didn't come, we were going to look for you. The lady's appearance was stunning, and she had a gentle temperament. Her peach blossom eyes were faintly lively, and her voice was as clear as a zither. Sister Shu Wei, I'm here now. Luo Shuiyao immediately went up to her with a smile. She hugged the lady's arm intimately and stuck out her tongue playfully. Yi Chen sized up the people in the living room without batting an eyelid. He realized that there were 2 handsome young men sitting next to the lady. Behind one of them was Lu Qing, whom he had seen before. After noticing his gaze, Lu Qing smiled at him. Meanwhile, the young man before him lifted his head to look at Yi Chen. There was a hint of caution in his eyes. Yao Yao, who's this? What he said caught everyone's attention. At that moment, everyone in the living room had their eyes on Yi Chen. Luo Shuiyao finally reacted and introduced him formally. Brother Xiang Nan, he's Yi Chen, the China number 1, Mad Southern Yi. As her voice fell, the living room fell into a strange atmosphere. Cold, deathly still, oppressive, intimidating. If everyone looked at Yi Chen as if they were looking at a stranger earlier, they were much colder now. There was even a hint of hostility. On the other hand, the eyes of the woman from before flashed with a hint of splendor. The oppressive atmosphere made Yang Junlin, the host, feel like he was facing a great enemy. On the other hand, Yi Chen stood with his hands behind his back and looked at everyone in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. A few seconds later, a commotion broke out in the living room. So he's Mad Southern Yi? The guy who killed Xiao Yang and the rest? He doesn't look outstanding just from his appearance. A mere person from the secular world dares to call himself the China number 1? Sensing that the atmosphere was not right, Luo Shuiyao's pretty face changed slightly. She stood before Yi Chen by instinct and introduced them one by one. Yi Chen, let me introduce you. This is Tong Shu Wei from the Tong family of Shang Santian. This is Xiang Nan from the Xiang family. That's Lu Yunfeng from the Lu family. And that's... Yi Chen had a rough understanding of the people present. Among them, Tong Shui, Xiang Nan, and Lu Yunfeng were very powerful. They were even more powerful than Xiao Yang and the rest whom he had killed earlier. They were at least high-level martial venerables. This also made him feel a little fearful of Shang Santian's foundation, as expected of the 1,000-year-old holy land of martial arts inheritance. Yao Yao, come out with me. At that moment, Tong Shui suddenly said and led Luo Shuiyao out of the living room. They only stopped when they arrived at the garden. Tell me, why did you bring this person to see us? Tong Shui, who had always been gentle, had a stern expression on her face at that moment. Don't you know that mad Southern Yi ignored Shang Santian and even killed people from the Shao family and a few other ancient families? Moreover, he seems to have the Netherworld token on him. Sister Shui, it's not just a suspicion. Yi Chen really has a Netherworld token on him. Moreover, it's the one with the word "C" on it, Luo Shuiyao said truthfully. Tong Shui was shocked when she heard that. What? Then why did you bring him here? Don't forget that the Xiang, Lu, Lin, and Huang families don't have the Netherworld token. Are you trying to kill him? Even though their conversation was at least 300 meters away from the living room, Yi Chen still heard everything they said. It was not that he was eavesdropping on them on purpose, but the moment he walked into the Yang family's villa, he had spread out his divine consciousness. Therefore, Tong Shui and Xiang Nan's conversation naturally could not escape his senses. While the two women were talking outside, a young man behind Xiang Nan glanced at them indifferently. Were you the one who killed Xiao Yang and the rest? Yi Chen said calmly, so what if I was? So what if I wasn't? The man smirked coldly, your aura is too weak. I'm suspecting that you used some shameful method to kill Xiao Yang and the rest. Yi Chen said, you can give it a try. You, the young man was furious. Just as he was about to speak, Tang Jianfeng interrupted him. Enough, Xiang Heng. If you really want to spar with someone, you can try me. Xiang Heng's expression turned grim as he snorted coldly, Jianfeng, don't forget that you're also from Shang Santian. How dare you speak up for an outsider? Even Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng, who had been silent all this while, frowned secretly. They were faintly unhappy with Tang Jianfeng. Xiang Heng, Jianfeng is saving you. Lu Qing, who was at the side, said, I was there that day as well. I saw with my own eyes that he killed Xiao Yang and the others by himself. If you really make a move against Brother Yi, don't blame me for not warning you when you get killed. Xiang Heng's expression changed when he heard that. In the end, he did not dare to boast. Even Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng secretly exchanged glances. They knew Lu Qing's personality. He never liked to add fuel to the fire, and did not exaggerate at all. Since he had proven the truth of what happened that day for Yi Chen, it seemed like Yi Chen was not much different from the rumors. Lu Yunfeng took a good look at Yi Chen again as he thought to this point and said, I heard that you have a Netherworld token? Chapter 693. The living room fell into dead silence once again. After all, the 10 ancient clans of Shang Santian had entered the world for the ghost ship. The Netherworld token was a necessary item to board the ghost ship, so how could they not be concerned? He met everyone's gaze. Yi Chen smiled lightly, I do have one. As soon as he said that, a commotion broke out in the living room. Even Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng were no exception. Their pupils constricted slightly. They were shocked that Yi Chen really had the Netherworld token, but they were also shocked that Yi Chen dared to admit it. Interesting. Xiang Nan, who had been silent all this while, suddenly chuckled softly. He looked at Yi Chen with a burning gaze. I don't know if he's ignorant or fearless. He actually dares to admit that he has the Netherworld token in front of us. Perhaps he thinks that he can protect it with his strength? The 10 ancient clans were determined to board the ghost ship. Meanwhile, there were only 8 Netherworld tokens. Now, one was in Yi Chen's hands while the other was in the hands of Shi Qianhan. In other words, there were only 6 netherworld tokens that the 10 ancient clans could compete for. This definitely meant that the 4 ancient clans were not fated to get the 6 netherworld tokens. The consequence of this was that the 4 ancient clans would place their attention on Yi Chen and Shi Qianhan. Meanwhile, Shi Qianhan was extraordinarily powerful and his whereabouts were unknown. Even the Shao clan could not capture him with all their might. Then, Yi Chen Yi, as the saying goes, a man's wealth is his own ruin. If you're not strong enough, having the netherworld token will only bring you death. Xiang Heng sneered again. As long as you hand the netherworld token to our Xiang clan, we can let you join our clan. At the same time, you'll be safe. At the end of his sentence, he added in a threatening manner, "Don't forget, even if we don't attack after killing Shao Yang and the rest, the ancient clans like the Shao clan and the Bai clan won't let them off." As soon as he finished speaking, even Lu Qing could not help but say, "That's right, Brother Yi. Why don't you hand the netherworld token to our Lu clan? That way, even if the Shao clan wants to touch you, they'll have to give in to our Lu clan." From the beginning to the end, Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng did not say a word, as if they did not hear anything. However, the corners of their lips curled into a smile at the same time. To them, the conditions offered by the Lu family and the Xiang family were high enough. As long as Yi Chen was smart, he would not reject them, nor would he dare to reject them. However, Yi Chen smiled lightly. "When have I ever needed anyone to protect me? I only believe in the sword in my hand." This sentence was a complete rejection to them. Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng frowned when they heard that. They were slightly unhappy. They felt that Yi Chen did not know how to appreciate favors. Meanwhile, Tang Jianfeng was worried for Yi Chen. "Brother Yi, oh Brother Yi, although I know your strength is not weak, you have to know who is sitting in front of you right now." Among them, Xiang Nan was the #1 person in the younger generation of the Xiang clan, and Lu Yunfeng was the #1 person in the younger generation of the Lu clan. The strength of these 2 people was not something that Shao Yang and the rest could compare to. Anger flashed through Xiang Heng's eyes. Just when he was about to flare up, a cold voice came from the door. "Yi Chen's netherworld token belongs to him. Are you guys going to fight for it?" The next moment, Luo Shuiyao and Tong Shui walked in quickly. Luo Shuiyao glared at Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng angrily. "Brother Xiang Nan, Brother Yunfeng, Yi Chen is my friend. How can you bully him like this?" Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng looked at each other and said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry, "Yao Yao, when did I bully your friend? We were just doing it out of kindness." "That's good." Luo Shuiyao harumphed coldly and glared at Xiang Heng fiercely. "Also, Xiang Heng, are you itching for a beating again? Be careful that I don't tell my brother that you're bullying me." "No, no." Xiang Heng's expression changed, and he hurriedly shook his head like a rattle. He thought of that monster from the Luo family. He was not the only one who had a headache. Even the extremely confident Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng were no exception. "All right, the meeting will start in half an hour." Tong Shui interrupted everyone and fixed her gaze on Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng. "Yao Yao told me earlier that this Mr. Yi also has a netherworld token and wants to board the ghost ship. Since he's Yao Yao's friend, we can't target the netherworld token in his hand for the time being. Moreover, there's only one, and it's not enough for the 2 of us." "Then what do you think we should do?" Lu Yunfeng frowned slightly. Tong Shui said, "I received a call from the Shao family earlier. They said that each family can send a disciple to challenge each other during today's exchange. The bet is the netherworld token, and the winner will take the other party's netherworld token." "Would they be that kind?" Tang Jianfeng smirked coldly. "The 5 ancient families have 4 in total, while our 5 ancient families only have 1. I think they're purely interested in the 2 netherworld tokens in our hand." Lu Qing nodded and said, "That's right. If I remember correctly, the Duan family still doesn't have a netherworld token, right? They're obviously trying to snatch the Netherworld token from Yao Yao, so that our 5 ancient families won't be able to board the ghost ship. At the end of his sentence, he added, now that all the powerhouses of the younger generation of the 5 ancient families have arrived, Brother Luo and Brother Tang haven't arrived yet. If we agree, we'll be at a disadvantage. What do you think? Tong Shui looked at Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng. Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng looked at each other. Xiang Nan stretched his neck and said lazily, what else can we do? Of course, we'll fight. We were just worried about not having a Netherworld token. Since they're willing to give us a chance, that's great. Lu Yunfeng looked at Luo Shuiyao. The only problem is that the Netherworld token on our side belongs to Yao Yao. I wonder if she's willing? Of course, why not? Luo Shuiyao said without even thinking, we can't catch the wolf without risking the child. Besides, if the 4 of you don't have the Netherworld token, only our Luo family will be able to board the ghost ship after it appears. We won't be their match at all. By the way, you don't have to worry too much. Tong Shui seemed to have thought of something and said, Xiao Yuanjing by Xiao Yu, and the rest won't fight this time. On our side, Xiang Nan, Yunfeng, and I won't be able to fight. In other words, Lu Qing, Xiang Heng, and the rest will fight? Looks like they're quite confident. The smile on Xiang Nan's face grew brighter. That's right. Tong Shui smiled as well. She turned her head and said to Yi Chen, are you sure you want to join this exchange with us? Of course. Yi Chen nodded lightly. Tong Shui frowned and said, let me remind you that if you go this time, although the 5 ancient families won't attack you directly, they'll definitely send someone to challenge you. Once you lose, the Netherworld token in your hand will belong to them. Yi Chen stood with his hands behind his back and smiled lightly. In other words, I can challenge them and snatch the Netherworld token from them, right? Chapter 694. Tong Shui secretly shook her head when she heard that. Xiang Nan and Lu Yunfeng frowned without a trace. Even Luo Shuiyao and the rest did not know whether to laugh or cry. Xiang Heng could not help but sneer. Yi, I advise you not to be so confident. It's better to know your limit. All right, let's go. Tong Shui looked at the time and led everyone out of the villa. Yang Junlin had already arranged for a few supercars to be parked at the door. Yi Chen, Luo Shuiyao, and Tang Jianfeng got into the Lamborghini Venom from before. Tang Jianfeng drove at the front and led the way. In a Rolls-Royce Phantom behind the Lamborghini Venom, Lu Yunfeng took a deep look at the car in front of him and said in a deep voice, what do you think of Mad Southern Yi? Xiang Nan said cleanly, arrogant. That's right, this kid is not just arrogant. Xiang Hing nodded repeatedly, and there was a hint of anger on his face. It's fine that he didn't show any respect when he saw us, but he actually rejected our offer. He sneered and said again, for example, not only was he not worried that someone else would win his Netherworld token, but he was even thinking about someone else's. Those who don't know would think that he's that monster, Luo Tianya. Even Tong Shui nodded and said, he's indeed a little arrogant, but it's understandable. After all, before Shang Santian entered the world, he was the #1 person in the secular world of China. Furthermore, it's acceptable for him to have such a cultivation base at such a young age. Lu Yunfeng's eyes flickered. Do we need to challenge him then? Everyone could not help but reveal strange expressions when they heard that. Earlier, it was not appropriate for them to snatch the Netherworld token from Yi Chen on account of Luo Shuiyao. However, there was no need for them to care about their relationship during the exchange. Forget it. Tong Shui sighed softly and said, after all, he's Yao Yao and Jianfeng's friend. Moreover, in my opinion, the Xiao family and the rest will definitely challenge Yi Chen, and Yi Chen won't be able to keep the Netherworld token in his hand. We can fight for it after his Netherworld token is taken away. Xiang Heng laughed out loud. Great! That way, Yao Yao will have nothing to say. After all, Yi is the one who's inferior. He can't blame anyone else. Half an hour later, The car arrived at the Sun City International Hotel. As soon as they got out of the car, they saw a long motorcade coming from far away. Compared to Yi Chen and the rest's car, the motorcade before them was more luxurious. All of them were Maybachs. Wherever the motorcade passed by, passers-by would stop to watch and exclaim. Tong Shui frowned. "They're here too." As the cars stopped, a cold-looking young man in a long robe slowly walked out of the Maybach that was in the lead. Xiang Nan narrowed his eyes and said, "It's Director Du of the Du family. He's ranked 10th on the Martial Venerable leaderboard." Martial Venerable ranking? Yi Chen was slightly moved. As if sensing his confusion, Luo Shuiyao explained softly, "The Martial Venerable leaderboard is a leaderboard for Martial Venerables in Shang Santian. It's similar to the Heaven leaderboard in China. However, the difference is that the people on the Martial Venerable leaderboard are not only Martial Venerables, but also the best among them." Yi Chen said, "What's the ranking of Xiao Yang and the rest that I killed earlier?" "What rank?" Before Luo Shuiyao could speak, Xiang Heng mocked, "A piece of trash like Xiao Yang won't even be able to enter the top 50, let alone rank." As they were talking, a few more people walked out of the cars. Lin Fulong of the Lin family, ranked 9th on the Martial Venerable leaderboard. Duan Tianlang of the Duan family, ranked 7th on the Martial Venerable leaderboard. When a young man in white walked out, the pupils of Tong Shui and the rest narrowed slightly. Bai Xiaoyu of the Bai family, ranked 3rd on the Martial Venerable leaderboard. It was a young man with an extremely handsome face. He had sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. His eyebrows were faintly discernible under his messy bangs. Yi Chen's eyes focused slightly. Through his divine consciousness, he realized that Bai Xiaoyu's aura was very powerful. It had already surpassed Xiang Nan, Lu Yunfeng, and the rest. His strength was at least at peak Martial Venerable level. No wonder he was ranked 3rd on the Martial Venerable leaderboard. At the next moment, in the last Maybach, a young man in a black outfit stepped out of the car. The young man's expression was calm, and his deep eyes were like a deep and unfathomable pool. He was not as handsome as Bai Xiaoyu, Lin Fulong, Du Zong, and the rest, who were filled with a shocking aura. However, with his appearance, everyone's breathing subconsciously stopped. Lu Yunfeng took a light breath in and enunciated word by word. The young master of the Xiao family, Xiao Yuanjing, ranked 2nd on the Martial Venerable leaderboard, the person who has the highest chance of becoming an emperor. Is he Xiao Yuanjing? Yi Chen looked at him coldly. The 2nd on the Martial Venerable leaderboard already has such an aura. I wonder how the 1st on the Martial Venerable leaderboard looks like. At that moment, Xiao Yuanjing had clearly noticed them. He walked over slowly with his hands behind his back, and his black stone-like eyes swept past everyone. Under his gaze, Xiang Nan and the rest felt like they had been seen through with a single glance. There were no secrets to speak of. Xiao Yuanjing's gaze paused on Yi Chen for a few seconds. Eventually, he looked at Luo Shuiyao. "Big brother isn't here?" Luo Shuiyao snorted coldly and said, "Why would my big brother participate in such a small occasion? What a pity! I still want to challenge him." Xiao Yuanjing sighed regretfully when he heard that. He then walked into the hotel, and the people behind him followed one after another. When Bai Xiaoyu passed by Yi Chen, he suddenly stopped and looked at him coldly. "Are you the mad southern Yi who killed 3 people from my Bai family?" Luo Shuiyao stood before Yi Chen subconsciously and said while glaring at him, "What are you trying to do, Bai?" "Don't worry." Bai Xiaoyu chuckled softly. "I don't want to attack such a small fry because my opponent is Big Brother." With that, he turned around and left. After the group left, Lu Yunfeng said fearfully, "Why do I feel like Bai Xiaoyu and Xiao Yuanjing seem to have become stronger again?" Xiang Nan did not mind at all. Instead, he chuckled and said, "These 2 fellows are really the same as before. They treat Big Brother Luo as their target and never take us seriously." On the Martial Venerable leaderboard, the monster of the Luo family, Luo Tianya, was ranked first. His talent was extraordinary, and he suppressed the 10 paragons of the ancient families by himself. On the other hand, Xiao Yuanjing and Bai Xiaoyu were ranked second and third respectively. Naturally, they were unconvinced and repeatedly challenged Luo Tianya, but they all failed. As for Tong Shuwei, Lu Yunfeng, and Xiang Nan, they were ranked 8th, 5th, and 6th respectively on the martial venerable leaderboard. However, they were nothing compared to these two. Apart from Luo Tianya, the only one who could threaten the two of them was probably the monster of the Tang family, Tang Yiming, who was ranked 4th on the martial venerable leaderboard. We're not as strong as them. What can we do? Let's go. Tong Shuwei shook her head slightly and led everyone in.